And welcome into the Wednesday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Hope everybody's off to a wonderful start on this Wednesday morning. We are broadcasting live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Had kind of a disappointing hoops slate last night. Tuesday is usually loaded, but I will say that your Vols looked awfully good.
That natty's going to taste sweet at the end of the year, man.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but I tell
It's
you
going
what,
to taste sweet.
They're I think Ament had 26 in the second half.
He's closing in on National Player of the Year. Just took a little longer than we'd hoped, but he's going to have a heck of a February here, Joe. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's gonna need a heck of a February to get into that race, but he's
26
good,
in the second half for him last night. Clutch.
Yeah, so they crush Ole Miss. Chris Beard had a complete meltdown.
Good.
Got ejected, screamed to the refs. Then he went to his team and grabbed guys basically let's go. And then they proceeded to go out and Tennessee went on a 10-0 run or something like that. So
inspiring really run from the coach.
Yeah, tough year for Chris Beard.
It is.
Hate to see it.
It is. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Watched a little bit of that game last night. Watched a little bit of Oilers Leafs.
Yes.
Hockey.
Didn't go well for the Oilers.
So, but yeah, otherwise, pretty chill. Pretty chill night. Thanks. Hope everybody's staying safe and warm out there.
Absolutely. It rained all day yesterday. It was I was walking outside yesterday. It was 46 and rainy. And I was like, this is nice. It's cool. How about that?
Yeah. Washed away the last little, the middle of my driveway ice, It's nice.
Oh, I can still skate in mine somehow.
Can you?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I was taking the trash out last night at 9 o'clock. And I was like, wow, it's still very slippery out here, huh? How about that?
Well, it didn't.
So is this thing ever going to melt?
Well, that's the thing. So we're not getting to freezing, which is good. But then, we're going back though. We're going back to sub in the next.
I'm just going to keep lacing them up out there, I guess.
So we're gonna have like 50s and 20s, 40s and 20s, 50s and 20s. Yeah, that's gonna be tough, man.
Looking forward to it.
Refreeze. Yeah, good time.
March. It's like, wow, still brothers want to come practice in my driveway. Come on, you can do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
We got a lot going on the show today. Dan Rosen will be with us at around 7:05 on the program today from NHL.com. And we'll get his thoughts on the Predators, both the Barry Trotz story. And by the way, pretty big game for the Predators tonight, taking on Minnesota as they try to remain in the playoff push with just 2 games remaining before the Olympic break. So we'll get Dan Rosen's thoughts on that coming up here in about an hour. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us in the second half of the program. And we'll get his thoughts on the Barry Trotz situation too. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, everybody's been begging for that, clamoring for
They have.
it. So we will get it here.
Paul, what do you make of Eric Holla as the second line center for the Nashville Predators at the moment? We'll get his thoughts on all of them. 615-737-1025. Joey. Joe.
My family calls me Joey.
Well, that's good to know.
Call me
I
Joey.
may continue to do that. I am going to talk about it, Joey. We talked about Joey Aguilar last week when it came down, or maybe even earlier this week, about the lawsuit that was coming down the pipe for Joey Aguilar here to obtain another year of eligibility. He has filed that lawsuit against the NCAA in a Knox County court. So that has been done. We talked about him taking his his lawsuit away from the Diego Pavia stuff and going at it individually here. Here's what his representation has filed in their complaint, just part of it. Quote, after a breakout season as the Volunteers quarterback in 2025, the NCAA is blocking Aguilar from playing a fourth-year Division I football, depriving Tennessee of a gifted quarterback, and robbing Aguilar of millions in compensation is the part of the statement that they've put in that complaint there. So this has got a lot of people talking. We'll see whether or not Aguilar actually wins this. If he does, obviously that would add a veteran quarterback to Tennessee's room that right now, outside of, I guess, Ryan Staub, who transferred from Colorado, doesn't really have one. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Tennessee fans, to some degree, seem a little conflicted on what they want to happen here, because I've seen a lot of Vols fans that are like, we like Joey. Glad he had a good year last year. Let's move on to one of the kids that may be more talented than he is. May not be better than he is, but maybe more talented than he is. What do you make of this Aguilar situation? Is this a good thing or a bad thing if he actually ends up winning this thing?
Well, separated from Tennessee fans, I think just in terms of it is interesting because I would, as a Tennessee fan, if I were a Tennessee fan, I would argue, yes, I'll take Joey Aguilar back. I'm sorry. Led the SEC in passing. He was really good last year. Like, he wasn't perfect, but I'd feel more confident in navigating next year's schedule. Yeah, you also think, oh, another year of a guy in the system, right? Like, could he not get better? I would feel better about that and being able to just go boom right into spring ball, work with the the new personnel on offense, and have a better chance next year than one of the young guys. And I know the unknown is undefeated. That's how I would feel. But if you separate it from Tennessee fans, just as a general college football fan, is this – we got eligibility stuff just being sued everywhere.
Yeah.
This one's really interesting because I kind of feel like actually I feel like I'd rather see him win and then let's just make it that's the thing. Like Pavia's lawsuit is basically the same thing, but it's a bigger thing. So he had to get out of that to try to play this year because it might not be decided. But it's essentially like JUCO stuff doesn't count anymore.
Right.
So this would be, yes, it would be eight years of college. There's a COVID year in there, and there's like this, but basically like four years JUCO, and then this would be his fourth year of Division I. I personally like the Bediako stuff. That's different. The pro stuff, you've been a pro, you left, you got drafted, you signed all that's total BS. That crap that's ridiculous. And I would support the NCAA in getting some kind of congressional life raft on that to enforce those eligibility rules. But this one, I think this should just be like done for. Let's just leave it at that. JUCO doesn't count. D1 counts. And so, yeah, you're going to, that'll lead to like more, stories where there's 23, 24-year-olds still playing college football. But I just, to me, it's way different than the pro stuff. Than you were a pro or you got paid as a pro or you left college.
I think it's different than pro stuff. I still don't like it. Like, if that were the case, you could technically play 4 years of junior college and then you come play 4 years of college football and you're like 26 years old as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, but how many people play four? Like, I know, like
it doesn't happen.
He just
often.
did,
yeah,
but it wouldn't be too.
It wouldn't be too frequently,
right?
I don't think. But
usually you're not that good. If you're doing it that much in JUCO, then you're not going to end up. No one's going to care. Anyway,
probably not,
right?
Yeah, probably not. But it's just. I'll be honest with you. From the Tennessee fan in me looks at it and says, "Well, I don't love the quarterback room right now. I have intrigue on George McIntyre and whether or not he can be ready to play by the time next fall rolls around. Obviously, I'm intrigued by Faison Brandon, but you're talking about a true freshman, and I don't know how realistic that's going to be that he's ready to go right out of the jump. So the Tennessee fan in me is looking at it and say, well, I need somebody to play quarterback next fall, so that'd be nice. The college football fan in me hopes he doesn't win. That's kind of where I'm separating the two right now. Like, frankly, I'm a little bit tired of the eligibility lawsuits. Like, I understand that we're never going back to the way it used to be, and that's probably good, but it feels like we're trying to find every possible loophole that exists and sometimes creating loopholes that don't exist when it comes to these eligibility rules. So the college football fan in me kind of hopes he doesn't win.
Okay. Yeah. I guess to me, it's just like, my line is, I just think it's way different, those two things, but I get it. I get what you're saying.
I think that they're different. I don't like either one of them. Yeah. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Topmeyer wrote a comment and he actually had a good point. He's like, a big part of all these and a big part of this is Aguilar saying basically that, he's being denied the ability to earn money and he would make $2 million this year with the Vols. And Topmeyer, a good point. It's like, if you're like one of the younger quarterbacks, I guess you could like sue him, right? It's like you're denying me a chance to make money because if I'm the starter, I'm going to get way more money next year. So let's everybody sue everybody. No, it's I don't know. We're headed toward ultimately. Again, if we're gonna, especially the Tuscaloosa judge who's a donor, and again, he just Aguilar just just submitted his in Knox County Court.
Yep.
And it's like, so we're going to also like try to lean in on homer judges who support the home team crap. I mean, it's just like, it's pretty comical. I mean, Congress, I mean, don't, can't expect them to do anything. It's like you're asking these people in Washington to help sports, and it's like, my God, there's so many things that are problematic in the world right now. But man, if there was any sort of a narrow bit of legislation that could be passed just on the eligibility stuff, that would be great. And as people have pointed out, the NCAA has wasted millions and millions and millions and years making these big arguments about amateurism that had no freaking hope, that we're going to get completely flushed down the toilet.
Yeah.
And if they would have maybe, pinpointed some things like this, like eligibility, like, can we enforce our own eligibility rules that all of our members have said, these are the rules we want,
right.
Except when, like we can get a really good player and then we want to go ahead and hop over those guardrails.
Right. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Off and running on Robby and Rexrode. Titans fans, are you rooting for or against Mike Vrabel in the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday? We'll get your thoughts on that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Well, we're early in the week, and I'm sure we'll have a dinner tonight and take the coaches out tomorrow, and give the players some time off tomorrow. Come back in on Wednesday, try to get to our normal routine, normal week, and then see where that leads us at the end of the week.
Is this a must-win game?
A must-win? Yeah, I think every time we go out is a must-win game. I mean, it's kind of the attitude that I've always taken in the National Football League.
Mike Vrabel getting it done out there this week at Super Bowl.
Have some fun, Vrabel.
Would you consider this one, Mike, a must-win or can't lose? Which one?
Was that person serious, though? I keep asking this question.
By the way, that was not Will Compton who asked that question. Somebody told us it was yesterday. That right there, that was not Will Compton.
No, but he and Luan did ask another question that we will get to. Check your inbox, Ian. Oh, boy. You might want to watch it first, but I think it's fine.
I don't know that it is.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't. I really don't think it is, but we'll see. We'll have some internal discussion.
Okay.
On the program. We'll see how it goes.
I think it's totally fine.
We'll see how it goes. Josh from Cookville, I threw the question out there. Titans fans, are you rooting for or against the New England Patriots and Mike Vrabel coming up this weekend in the Super Bowl? Josh from Cookville says, I'm rooting against Vrabel. I've never liked the Patriots since I was first an NFL fan. I also can't stand these Titans fans who can't let a coach go. At the end of the day, Vrabel was always going to return to New England eventually. I believe him wanting more control was a way for him to get out of here. This is from Josh from Cookville on the text line. The New England part of this, we were talking about this before the segment. I think I am rooting for Vrabel, but that also means I'm rooting for the Patriots in the Super Bowl, which is a very difficult concept for me to get behind because my entire basically life growing up, they were the evil empire in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl again. That's fun.
Yeah, it's true. It's like if it was the same sort of story, but it was, pick some great player going back to some team that's not already like the record holder for most Super Bowl. I know they have the most Super Bowls. Do they have the most Super Bowl titles too?
Does anybody else have 6?
How many do the Cowboys have?
I don't think the
Cowboys
have
Steelers.
6.
Steelers had 4 and the Steelers have 5 for sure. But I think that's it. I think the Steelers have 5. So yeah, I think that they have we'll confirm.
Apparently the Steelers have 6.
Steelers have 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steelers both with 6.
Patriots, Steelers, both 6. Okay.
Niners with 5.
God, what was the Steelers 6? I mean, obviously, I remember the one that they won with Roethlisberger was very young in Detroit. They had the 4 with Bradshaw and the best defense ever. Huh. Someone let us know.
I wish I was better with my Roman numerals.
Oh, God, Wizenhunt. What am I talking about? Wizenhunt.
Yeah,
Wizenhunt
was the coach of the Cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
6.
So that's another part of this too. Do you want them to become? I feel like the Steelers. And some people hate the Steelers, but I feel like the Steelers are kind of like a sentimental. Like a lot of people just sort of respect them / like them. Sure. I as a kid always liked the Steelers and hated the Cowboys. I feel like you either liked one of them or hated the other. That's going way back. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of general built-in hatred for the Patriots. But should that be the case? Belichick's out of there, Brady's out of there. This is their happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, they're not even supposed to be
linebacker / tight end. That's right. They're like an underdog. Got a fun young quarterback who's not nearly as cocky as Brady. Has not cheated as far as we know. So
maybe he'll be the first ballot Hall of Famer one day.
Maybe
Drake May's got a chance to become the first ballot Hall of Famer in Patriots history. The quarterback.
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know. There's some Cam says I hate the Patriots, but I want Vrabel to win, so I will be slightly pulling for the Patriots.
Okay.
It's there is I think there's a Titans fan element that wants him to win to spite the Titans because they're mad at the Titans and they want the Titans to have the full vision of look at what you have done. I don't know like who that helps anymore.
Yeah.
But like I think that's some, right? I think that describes some people in this situation.
Trevor says, go Vrabel. They'll never make me hate you. Chuck says he's rooting against the Patriots anytime they play, but I also don't care who former coaches or players are. Doesn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things. So Vrabel, the Vrabel impact, not impacting things one way or the other for Chuck. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to assign a percentage to it because I do think there's a significant percentage of Titans fans that even before this week and certainly by the end of this week are going to be absolutely tired of hearing about Mike Vrabel, right? So I think that's a significant percentage. I do think there are some Titans fans that still like Mike Vrabel and are hoping that he and some of the other players that have been here before finish things off this week and get a Super Bowl. And it's not just Vrabel. I don't know if you guys have noticed, there's a lot of former Titans that are wandering around in that place.
Yeah, and speaking of clips from out there was an interesting one from Landry. You see this one from Landry? Well, I don't know if it's worth like digging up and playing, but to paraphrase, he was asked about, can you compare the Titans and the Patriots cultures? And he's like, well, I'm not going to speak on my last year at Tennessee, but this culture is very similar to when Vrabel was with the Titans. It's like, tell us what you feel about Brian Callahan and his
buried on the way out.
Just buried. See, Weston Clarksville says, I'm rooting for Vrabel, not the Patriots, kind of like the Ravens, rooting for Henry, but can't stand the Ravens. Okay. Well, then when it comes down to it, they're lining up for a field goal to either win or lose. Then
you hoping it goes in?
Yeah. Like, are you ultimately rooting? Does rooting for Vrabel overcome how much you don't like the Patriots?
Yeah. It's interesting. Very interesting.
And some people hate, and there are Titans fans who hate Vrabel and wanted him to be fired and are still defending that.
That's why I think it's so interesting. The breakdown of, even the answers we've gotten so far, the breakdown is very interesting as to how this is going to go. Look, to be honest, the more I look at this, the more I'm concerned that it may not be that great of a game, because I think Seattle's really good. Seattle, their defense is ridiculous, and they've got a quarterback that I know people still look at it and it's like, wow, it's Sam Darnold at quarterback, but man, he played pretty well in the NFC title game, and he's played pretty well for the most part the last 2 years. So at this point, I have to believe that he's just good, right? The body of evidence would tell me that he's pretty good. And by the way, that receiver he's throwing the ball to is pretty darn good too. So I'm trying to find holes on Seattle, and I just don't see a whole lot of them. Not that I see a ton of holes on the Patriots either, but I think you can look at the Patriots roster and you can tell it's like, well, their defense is playing great right now. You look at their wide receiving core, and it's like they have done a really good job all year of making some big plays and big moments. But they're not as talented as Seattle's roster is. And that kind of makes it scary that they're already found their way into the freaking Super Bowl, and they're going to have all this cap space this offseason, and their quarterback's 23 and all these things. But it just feels like Seattle is pretty clearly the better team.
Yeah, I think so too. For sure. It is like down the road 10 years. And again, no disrespect to Sam Darnold. He's good. I'm pro Darnold. I've been pro Darnold, but 10 years from now, I still would say we'll probably be like Drake May will probably be better than him. Like, we'll probably have a better career. But right now, if Darnold's going to play like he has been playing, and granted, he's been at home. Maybe it's a little different here in a neutral environment and things like that. But if he's going to play like he has been playing with a lot of pressure, even though he's at home and all that, it's a lot of pressure. Then I think May has to be probably. There's always weird stuff that can happen. You can have a return, you can have a block punt, but I think probably May has to be clearly better than him to make up the difference in talent between these teams.
How about this one? Go ahead, Ian.
It feels like a lot of people have kind of been poo-pooing New England this year as far as like the schedule strength, who they had to play in the playoffs. Maybe
the regular season thing is fine. I don't get the playoff thing.
They're kind of like bashing their path, and maybe they had an easy way. But if they were to beat Seattle,
that's pretty good, man.
I think you kind of have to erase all that and be like, hey, at the end of the day, they played the best team in the NFC. They ended up beating them. Maybe we were over talking the whole schedule thing.
Someone will still want to put an asterisk next to say, you beat Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl. Get out of here. You knew he was going to choke. Someone will want to do that. But at this point, it's like, come on.
The Darnold angle is interesting, too.
It is.
Like, even if he wins this one Super Bowl, will that narrative go away?
God.
I'm not sure it will.
If not, then that just shows you like any narrative could still have a glimmer of life because some people want to be dumb. Yeah. What else is the guy?
I hope for him, like, it doesn't go south.
Yeah, in
this game,
what if he just absolutely chokes in this one? It's like, well, there's Sam Darnold.
Yeah, there. Just like we said, he stinks.
Never mind, it came in the Super Bowl, but there he is.
Good job, Vikings. Great move.
George from Murfreesboro on the YouTube chat to tie a couple of things together this week, Joe, says, rooting against Vrabel. I had to watch Trotz win a cup somewhere else. I'm not trying to watch Vrabel have a good time. while my team sits in the sewer. This from George from Murfreesboro on the YouTube chat.
Were people no one was mad about Trotz winning though, right? Everybody was. He got fired here. I mean, I know that Vrabel did too, but like it was just like a sympathetic fine, right? Like Terry Trotz was a sympathetic figure the whole time he was gone here, was he not?
Yeah, but I mean, it is your coach going to win a championship somewhere else.
Sure.
By the way, winning a championship somewhere else the year after you got to the final and lost. So there's that too.
Yeah. I guess the two things seem a lot different to me just because of Vrabel was very polarizing, and I don't think Trotz was. Right? It was just kind of like, okay, it's time to move on, right? Like, love you, but time to move on. Oh,
Yes.
crap. He just won it all.
Oh, crap. We had the President's Trophy team this year and could have been playing him in the final, and he just won it. How about
Crap. Maybe he can be our GM someday.
615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot of different thoughts to get to on the Vrabel front. Are you rooting for or against Mike Vrabel and the Patriots coming up in the Super Bowl? We got Dan Rosen coming up at 7:05 on the program. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. A lot of different thoughts on whether people are rooting for Mike Vrabel or not and how good people think Sam Darnold is, apparently on the text line as well.
Yeah, like it really is crazy. So Texter's like, what do you do if you're Seattle? If Darnold chokes, isn't he on a 1-year deal? Do you pay him $50 million a year and keep him or let him walk? Well, he's not. He's on a 3-year deal, but also like he's in the Super Bowl, guys. Like, have you watched him play? Oh my God, he lost the Super Bowl. Boo, loser. I mean, I'm not saying like Sam Darnold is ever going to be a top 5 QB, but I think he's established. He's good. I'd take him as my quarterback.
Just ship him off. Get,
There he is. He's a pumpkin. Turn into a pumpkin.
Drew Lock in there.
Yeah. Oh, Drew Lock.
Is he still in the league?
God, I forgot about him. I don't know.
I think he's
got
the backup there.
Is he in Seattle?
Yeah.
There you go.
Is he Darnold's backup?
I think so.
Really?
That's
I thought
what
he
I'm
would.
talking
I
about.
thought he'd been moved.
Thought so.
Oh, okay.
I thought I saw like
He is the backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I saw
There you
on
go.
social this week. Oh, look at
Look at Drew Lock.
hanging around everywhere Sam Darnold goes. There's little buddy Drew.
Mike McDonald makes the Nick Saban call at halftime. Drew,
Yeah.
get in there.
Drew, you're in, son. Let's go.
You're my Tua. Go in and help this loser out. Yeah, I don't know. Like I get it. A lot of years or it's bad, but I mean, I think he's kind of established himself, right?
I mean, what is he in the regular season the last 2 years? 28-6. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and sure, he's on good teams. Sure, okay. I mean, he's a big part of those teams being good.
By the way, I mean, he was on a team that was 14-3 last year that got rid of him and didn't work out so well for him.
That's true.
Now, I mean, JJ McCarthy, we'll see. I'm not willing to give up on him yet, but did not. It was clearly Justin Jefferson does not like the after effect of what happened there. But this
Jason
week
put
he
up
was like,
plenty good numbers this year.
He sure did. Sure did.
Yeah. I had Jefferson, I think, on both my fantasy teams, so I feel your pain, JJ. Yeah, it's
It's like, wow, Justin Jefferson's out there and they can't get him the ball. It's kind of crazy.
yeah. So when will JJ McCarthy be at the same level that Sam Darnold is at now? Will he ever?
I'm going to say no.
And the Titans thing, there's some Titans sentiment. I get it. Like,
Sure.
we wanted him and all this stuff. I've heard, I know an agent who said he might. I don't think he was going to come here. Okay. So, but that's fine. If you want to believe that, that's fine. I know an agent who knows a friend who knows a friend. No, I don't think that Sam Darnold was ever going to come here. But if you want to talk yourself into that, you can.
Mike from Pennsylvania says, I'm pulling for Seattle because of Darnold's story. Never cared about former coaches and players once they leave. I had to watch Steve McNair wear a Ravens jersey as a kid. So seeing Mike in here means nothing to me. Man, the more I think about it, it's just the factory that the Titans have pumped out to the Baltimore Ravens has been pretty amazing.
Yeah.
McNair, Henry, obviously, D-Mace, Samari Roll. It's just pretty incredible.
God, that's a pretty good
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, just the offensive trio there, Imagine if that could be your backfield, like in their primes together.
Yeah. Pretty good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean, D-Hop, throw him in there too.
I guess you could
Keep adding to the list.
I guess you could count him. Weston Clarkson was Tannehill got a Super Bowl and then threw 3 interceptions. Titans fans would be trying to get a new QB. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You
may be right.
I mean, they invoked the name Tannehill. So, I mean, I'll throw it back to what you said at the time, which I think is, until proven otherwise, is going to serve as a prophetic word for this franchise, which is, when's the next time they're going to get quarterback play as good as Ryan Tannehill? I'm hopeful for Cam Ward, but Cam Ward this year, not anywhere close to as good as Tannehill was at his peak here. So we'll see.
So, bracing myself for some dumb Tannehill texts. Bring them on.
Yeah. I mean, I also understand that Cam Ward was a rookie on a terrible team. So I get all that. But I'm just saying, quarterback play since he's gone, not very good.
No, and his quarterback play for a pretty decent stretch was very good. It's big part of why they were winning too.
Also, I don't know that I believe it. I don't know that I believe had the Titans got to the Super Bowl and he threw 3 interceptions, that they'd be clamoring to move on from him.
It'd be a Super Bowl. It'd be a much smaller group, but again, it's just like that text on Darnold. There are some people who just can't let it go. Like they just I think just can't believe that someone is that good, has gotten better, or / just believes that it's going to all fall apart like a house of cards.
Yeah.
But I would hope that once if you got there, and they beat the Bengals and then like beat the Chiefs in the title game, and then he had a bad game, it'd be a little different, right?
So let me ask you this: we've seen an offseason here where Mike Tomlin is no longer coaching in the NFL. Harbaugh's moved spots here. Belichick's not in the league anymore. All those things. So let's say Vrabel wins Sunday, and he's got a Super Bowl to his credit in year one in New England. After his run here in Nashville, how successful it was, going to the AFC title game, all those things. He wins the Super Bowl Sunday. Where's Mike Vrabel rank among head coaches in the league at that point? Like, I don't think he automatically goes to the top, but I mean, you're starting to talk about him at that point on a pretty short list, right? I mean, there's, does he pass McVay? Probably not. Does he pass John Harbaugh, given Harbaugh's, long history of accomplishment? Probably not, but you're talking about a Super Bowl at that point.
LaFleur.
He's already passed the floor.
Probably not.
Yeah, I think you could probably
Which LaFleur?
You'd probably wedge in between the two Harbaughs, right? One of them's 1-1, and yeah, that's true. There's two LaFleurs too. Two Harbaughs, two LaFleurs in this league. Mix it up, guys. Mix it up. But I think that's a great point. I think you could make a strong case for him because, again, like some people might say, well, he's not as good as Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan's been doing it a long time. So, okay,
you could have one.
You could have that debate, right? You could have that debate, but there is an absence of really accomplished coaches in the league. So I think that you would have to slot him right after Harbaugh McVay.
Yeah, like he'd be up
right
there
above the other Harbaugh, the cheater Harbaugh, who beat him out for the Chargers job.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. It is amazing to look around the league right now. And first off, how much turnover when you not only this offseason, but when you go 2 off seasons back, there's been a lot of turnover in the NFL, right? I mean, there's a lot of Vrabel right now, technically, is the longest tenured head coach in the AFC East, and he's been there a season. I think he got hired like a few days before Aaron Glenn did in New York. But right now, he's the longest tenured head coach in the AFC East. So that kind of shows you how things are going in the NFL right now. A lot of young coaches, a lot of unproven coaches. And then, look, there's plenty of them that are going to end up being really good. But like the long tenured guys, especially now that Tomlin's gone, it's like Harbaugh, the other Harbaugh, and he took a break in between. And then Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. He's been there a while too. There you go.
Yeah. Who's hanging on by a thread. Oh, he had a heck of a run there. Weston Clarksville does Vrabel get in the Hall of Fame before Belichick. I do remember that's funny. I do actually remember early in Vrabel's tenure writing something. I wrote a column in the Tennessean about, or maybe it was a feature on it, but it was basically like, why does he want to do this? And one of them, one of the things is like he at that point as a player was never going to quite get in the Hall of Fame, and now he's especially you win Sunday, like with everything else combined, doesn't that basically cement him?
I mean, this is a legitimate question. Like if you're a Hall of Fame voter, how do you view that? Like, do you just do you have to separate the two, the playing career and the coaching career? Or do you combine it all together?
That's a good question for Kuharsky when he comes in later. But I mean, to me, it's not. I mean, it's just the individual, right? I mean, it's not like you're like, you must vote only on this part of their career. I mean, he was a great player, but not quite a Hall of Fame player. He had huge Super Bowls. He's got championships. He caught touchdowns in them. And now you're going to talk about at least one NFL Coach of the Year, the stuff he did here, which is good, certainly good on your resume. And then that, and again, down the road, it may be a no-brainer anyway.
Yeah.
But I think you could make the case if he wins Sunday that he's probably going to get in.
There we go.
So there you go. The reasoning for, again, it's like Vrabel, you made, $40 million in your NFL career. Like most people like you are either going to like do TV or
go hang out at Corner Pub.
Yeah, but you're going to grind it out here. Yeah. Well, he still does that or did that. Probably still does that.
They got one of those up there, Foxborough.
He probably flies down here just to go to the Corner Pub, drink with his buddies.
Ryan in Florida says Ryan Tannehill's the second best quarterback after Steve McNair. Proved me wrong.
Oh, it's not
I mean,
close.
in Titans history, I don't think that it's particularly close.
Yeah,
I think it's those two, and then there's a significant gap between everybody else.
I mean, to me, the debate would be those two, which we did at the time, by the way.
Right.
And it was like, different era here. So, the numbers are certainly in Tannehill's favor, but different era here. toughness and all that. You can't like the McNair. I mean, I would go McNair 1, Tannehill 2, but I think it's actually a much better discussion than anything else around Tannehill people want to talk about.
I mean, here's a question for you. Who's the third best quarterback in Titans history? Like, I'm not going Oilers. We're taking
Neil O'Donnell.
more. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. Like, the third best quarterback in Titans history. Is it Vince?
Probably Vince. I mean, one Rookie of the Year, right? Like, he at least had moments.
Kerry Collins?
Yeah, you could do that too. They had a great 08 season. He was really good that year. I mean, but that kind of
highlights what we're talking about.
He
Right?
didn't do much that year. That was the defense and run game, too, for Kerry Collins.
Yeah, but now people are. You sound like a hater, like people talking about Tannehill.
Yeah,
all Tannehill did.
Tannehill was way better than Kerry Collins.
Hand it to 22. I agree. Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying.
Somebody has texted us saying we need to find a job in Boston. They've misspelled Boston, but we have to find a job in Boston since we both still love Ravens. Can't stop talking about it.
There we go.
Here. I don't know. Let me get closer to the microphone. I don't know if you guys know this week, but the Super Bowl is being played,
and he's in it. So should we not talk about it in the Super Bowl?
I think this is the same person who texts all the time about like our love for Vrabel. I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, sorry.
Learn how to spell Boston, by the way. It's very common
Boston
in the United States.
Boston with an E. That is interesting. Wicked. Wild. Yeah, sorry. It's kind of a big deal this week.
I don't know if you know this, but the Super Bowl, generally speaking, the most popular TV program every year. Probably will be again this year.
I would think so.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Big game coming up tonight for the Nashville Predators. Johnny Hines and the Minnesota Wild are in town. We will get into that. Dan Rosen coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Paul Kuharsky will be with us later in the program. We'll get his thoughts on all things Titans, get his thoughts on the Super Bowl matchup between the Patriots and the Seahawks. Big game tonight for the Predators. John Hines, speaking of former coaches, because good Lord, how dare we talk about those? John Hines and the Minnesota Wild are in town. They are 33, 14, and 10, second place in the Central Division. Big game tonight for the Nashville Predators, taking on a very good Minnesota Wild team. You know, we talked yesterday about, obviously the Trotz situation, and we're going to get Dan Rosen's thoughts on that here in just a few minutes. Preds are 3 points out of a playoff spot heading into the game tonight. You have tonight's game against Minnesota. You're on the road tomorrow against Washington, and that's it before the Olympic break. And we've talked about what happens after that. You got basically the last week of February and the first week of March, and it's the trade deadline. So we are close from a games played standpoint to figure out kind of exactly where you're going here. It's a big one tonight, a very tough challenge for the Predators tonight against a Minnesota Wild team that is very, very good. If you can win this one, that'd be a massive win tonight for the Predators if they can get it.
Yeah, and you'd love to build off the way you responded in the last game and pulled out one of maybe the most dramatic wins of the year, and maybe the best, as you said, the best scene you've seen there in a long time. I mean, that you'd like that to have some carryover. That would be a big deal.
Well, and preferably don't fall down 5-1 tonight, because my guess is if you fall down 5-1 to this team, you're probably not coming back. That would be my guess. Yeah. So let's get out of that trend. But, it's joking aside, the falling behind in games thing is, it's a big thing.
Consistent.
It's happening almost every game. So if you can find a way to, get out in front and play with a lead a little bit, that would be ideal. They just haven't been able to do that very much. It's pretty consistent. They're falling behind at least 1-0. And sometimes it's like 2-0, 3-1. And then in a third period, they just turn it on, which is good that you've got the ability to do that. Like, I think at this point, with how many times they've either come all the way back or have mounted a comeback that came up just short. Like, it's gotten to the point with them where at this point, I'd never count them out of a game. Like I said, I'll be honest with you, and this is not me even just saying this at the time. As soon as Forsberg scored the other night and made it 5-3, I was like, well, they're coming back. They're going to come back because they've just done it so many times this year. So that's a good quality to have. But you can tell, like Ryan O'Reilly's talking about it after the game. Stamkos is talking about it after the game. He's like, it's real nice to be able to do this. But if you think that this is going to be the winning formula all the way through, it is not going to happen in this league when you start playing really good teams.
Yeah. Has anyone done anything on like their time trailing / compared to the rest of the league, giving up first goal, games won in which they've, trailed the majority of it. They've had quite a few.
I need to look again. I looked a few weeks ago, and they had fallen behind 1-0 in a game more than anyone else in the league. Now, I can't imagine that that's changed.
Right. No,
because they just keep doing it. But their record when they've done that, typically it's not a good indicator of how a game's going to go. Their record when they've done that lately has been pretty good. Yeah. So
what's their record when they do get the first goal?
Maybe that's the strategy. Maybe I need to look at that. It's like Brunette's like, hey guys, we really don't need to be scoring first around here. We
always blow it. I don't know. Yeah, but the multi-goal hole. It's just usually good teams. That's a way to tell you're playing a good team or not, is if you come back from that.
Oh, and look, and people are talking about it on the YouTube chat, on the text line right now. It's, to me, this is a big game for UC Saros. Like Saros, look, if you watch the game on Monday night, it was not all him. The Predators basically stopped playing for like a 7-minute stretch to begin the second period, and it wasn't all him. But it is partly him. Like he's got to make some saves. Like he's got to come in there, and I'm talking even when the defense in front of you isn't perfect, because sometimes with him, that's what the conversation automatically gets shifted to, where it's like, well, they gave up some chances, and it's like, well, yeah, you're going to give up some chances every now and then. You need your goalie, who's getting paid almost $8 million a year, to step up and make a few saves. And he's on about a 2-week run right now where it's been pretty bad. And I think tonight is a big game for him. And I'm assuming he's starting tonight. He may not be. There's a back-to-back tonight and tomorrow. I'm assuming Anand's getting one of them.
One of the
we'll
two.
see.
Yeah.
It would make logical sense for Saros to go tonight and Anand to go tomorrow. We'll see if Burnett handles it that way. But if Saros is in there tonight, to me, like, this is a big moment for him. They need him to come through for them tonight.
Yeah. And he's got a lot. I mean, he's about to go to the Olympics. He's about to be flying to Italy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he will be their starting goalie, right? He'll be Finland's starter.
Yeah.
So
I assume so.
Yeah. There's a lot going on with him, but yeah, it would be a good thing for them to have him play well. Yeah. They have the shutout thing too, as Redemption points out. What record?
Well, I'm not worried about a shutout. Just play,
shutout. Yeah.
Go win the game. Like,
for sure.
Well, and make some saves in this game. Look, Minnesota's really good. They're going to be able to generate some chances tonight. You're going to need your goalie to make probably 2-3 saves in this game that he shouldn't make. Like, that's what it comes down to. And by the way, like, that's why you gave Saros the contract, because you felt good about his chances in games to make some saves that most goalies cannot make. That's why you pay him that much.
Right.
So if he's not going to do that, that's pretty useless. Like, that's not good. Like, we don't have time for UC Saros to be an average goalie. And right now, the last 2 weeks, I'd be begging for average. It's been bad the last 2 weeks. They need a big performance from him tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, since we have been talking about former coaches, how about that, John Hines?
Hey, man.
He's not bad. He seems he has
well.
a good team. He has a legit,
Very talented team.
Seems like he knows the puck from his elbow, apparently, unlike some people thought around here.
It's true. I mean, the Quinn Hughes move, it's a big deal for them.
Yes.
He's really good.
Yeah, that's
And Kaprizov.
He's
he's fun.
yeah.
Oh, and the thing is, like, we talk about how important center depth is all the time. And it's not like Minnesota doesn't have good centers, but they don't have like superstar centermen out there. But they've structured their team where they don't necessarily need that. Now, I am interested. Look, the first round matchup is probably going to be Minnesota and Dallas. Now, having said that, Minnesota's only 5 back of Colorado at the top of the division. Now, Colorado's got 3 games in hand. So the first round series is probably going to be Minnesota and Dallas in the Central Division, which again just shows you this playoff format's so dumb. Like, we got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Where you got probably the second and third best teams in the West are going to play each other in the first round. It's just stupid. And yet we keep trotting this playoff format back out there every year.
Yeah, no, that's I don't know. I feel like it's complained about every year, and then there's really never any serious. Like, does Gary?
I can tell you the
even
players don't like
entertain it. Yeah, Gary Bettman seems to just completely dismiss the whole idea out of hand, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So how about would the Preds trade ROR to
Minnesota?
To Heinze?
Boy, it better be a pretty
sweet
sweet
return.
deal, man. I mean, I'm not going to say no, they wouldn't. But it'd be a
Because that seems like
pretty sweet
a
deal.
team that maybe could benefit from him.
Well, the thing is, they've already made one huge
Postseason.
trade this year.
Yeah,
Now, look, I'm not going to sit there and pretend like I'm
Huge.
overly familiar with Minnesota's prospect pool or anything. So, look, maybe they have a couple studs there. I have no idea. But they made a pretty significant trade earlier this year, bringing in Quinn Hughes.
yeah.
So, I
You're
don't
gonna
know.
do that again?
Yeah.
yeah. If they're going for it, because they got a coach they believe can bring home a cup. So I'm just saying.
It's true. They do. We'll see how it goes. If you get this win tonight, that's a big deal. And particularly, not to get too far ahead, but if you could get 3 out of these 4 points between tonight and tomorrow, I think you're feeling pretty good if you're Andrew Burnett about where you're sitting coming out of the Olympic break. Now, Joe, I'm really interested to see the Olympic break here because, I mean, they're basically going to go 3 weeks without playing a hockey game. Now they'll be back and practicing in there, and it's not like they're just going 3 weeks without skating or anything. But there is a difference. Like, I think part of the story of who's going to make the playoffs in the Western Conference and who gets out of the gate the quickest out of the Olympic break and who takes maybe 5 or 6 games to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. Critical time. Both sides of this break.
Yep. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Dan Rosen from NHL.com will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Predators, where they sit in the standings, the Barry Trotz situation, the whole deal. That's coming up. Paul Kuharsky will be with us later in the show. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Wednesday morning. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We will have Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us in the second half of the program. We will get into all things Titans with him. We'll get his thoughts on the Patriots and the Seahawks, the the Pro Football Hall of Fame, all of it. Coming up with PK a little bit later in the show. Going to be joined here in a couple minutes by Dan Rosen from NHL.com. We mentioned it. Big game tonight for the Predators against the Minnesota Wild. They're tonight at home against Minnesota, tomorrow on the road against Washington to close things out here before the Olympic break. So a couple of big games coming up for the Predators.
Interesting question here, which I think would be a good topic someday. But Craig, he's talking about Saros, and it's ridiculous. Everybody always blames the defense. They let him off the hook. They act like all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, players and coaches, other than DeBoer, here and there, I'm sure you
Jake
can find.
Sanderson and Otto.
What's that?
Jake Sanderson and Otto's like, your goalie's got to make more than 10 saves.
Yeah. So here and there, you'll have. So he says. So Craig says, I understand they won't. I just don't understand why. Are you not allowed to tell the truth about them? Is it going to hurt their feelings too much? It is like it's a hockey thing. It's just like that person that's the person who has to be on their game, right? And the mental and emotional aspects of the game are so critical. I think no one would ever. Everybody wants they're handled with kid gloves.
Well,
right? That's just how it is.
They are, and I think look, I've been around players that have talked about this before, kind of off the record, because I've asked about this, but it's probably been 5 or 6 years ago now. And this was not even in relation to the Predators. This was just kind of a thing we were talking about with some other people at NHL.com. And one player told me, he was like, are there times where we say that in the back of our minds we're thinking, yeah, the goalie needs to make a freaking save? Of course there are.
Right.
But there are also times where it's like, if technically we're doing our job the way we should be doing our job, they shouldn't be giving up any quality chances, right? Like you should be playing defense. It's like, okay, well, how realistic is that? It's the NHL. The other team gets paid too. But, that's what he said.
Yeah. So. And that's fair. And that's, that's how you want players to think that way.
Sure.
But you also, everybody knows there's mistakes. There will be many, many mistakes made in every game. And again, that's why the guys who get paid the most, they clean up those mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and again, like Saros, when they went through their stretch in December, early part of January, and they were winning a lot of games, he's a big part of it. Like he was playing well, and he wasn't perfect every night, but he was making some key saves at key times. And I would just say that the last couple of weeks in particular have not been very good, and he's got to get back to playing better. I mean, look, say what you will about the traditional stats, but his save percentage right now is .893. That ain't gonna get it done.
No. What if he did absolutely continues to struggle, but then he just dominates the Olympics and comes back and continues to struggle?
Maybe so. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Dan Rosen from NHL.com. Dan, good morning. How we doing?
Good morning, guys. What's going on?
Not a lot, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, Preds with a huge game tonight against Minnesota. They've creeped back into the playoff race, and we'll get your thoughts on that here in just a minute. But I do want to start on the Barry Trotz stuff. He decides to step down as Predators general manager. He will be retiring as soon as they find his replacement and will transition into an advisory role. What did you make of that announcement, and what do you make, I guess, overall of the Barry Trotz tenure as general manager of the Nashville Predators?
Well, I love what Barry said. He goes, I took some swings, right? I took some big swings right off the bat. And, hey, you're gonna take over a new job and a new role. You might as well come out swinging and looking to hit some home runs, right? Listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I wasn't surprised. Maybe surprised because you didn't see it coming like middle of the season or whatnot. But to me, Barry's a coach, right? So Barry's always been a coach. He's been a coach and as a coach, you have an opportunity to impact the game, every game. And it drives you. It fills you up, right? I mean, that gets your juices flowing, the energy flowing, all of that stuff. And when you're a GM, you don't get that. You help the team, you build the team, you put pieces in place, you put the puzzle pieces in place, but you don't get to play the game. And he was in it for a few years, and I think he recognized that I don't want to coach anymore. I did that for a long time. but maybe just, this isn't doing it for me either right now. And now is a good time to step away and be with my family and enjoy my life, be an advisor, sit in that role, whatnot, and just kind of take the stress off a little bit, right? And so I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. And I think the timing actually makes sense. It gives the Predators time long before the draft, long before Barry's going to stay on, right? So you handle the trade deadline, you do those types of things, you work for this season. And then if they get a GM in place before the end of this season or whenever that might be, then it can be a seamless transition where it's not rushed, where things can kind of go along smoothly. And I think it makes sense. He's giving them months' notice at a time where teams typically, when they fire the GM or the GM leaves, it's typically after the season. We don't have that long before the draft. Now they've got months in advance to really do their homework, do their due diligence, bring people in, see how it works, and go from there. So I'm not surprised, and I actually really respect the timing of it too.
So, Dan, would you expect the Preds to go out? They do have internal candidates, but would you expect them to go outside? Yep. It feels like that's where it's probably heading. And if so, is there anyone or maybe a couple people you think might be really good for this job?
Yeah, it's funny. I really haven't thought of the names yet of the guys who could be really good for this job yet. I mean, you want to find the Matthew Darshes, right? I mean, a guy who's been in it and he's been in a role for a while as an AGM, and maybe this, you elevate him and he gets a shot. I think one thing Nashville really hasn't done is gone outside, right? I mean, it's been David Poyle, it's been Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz was there before. I think going outside the organization, not that they have good internal candidates, and I think those guys should absolutely be given a chance to look, to see what they think and whatnot. But if you go outside the organization, you bring in somebody new, somebody fresh, somebody outside of Nashville, it brings in a completely different perspective. And that might be where this organization needs to head right now. And I think it'd be a nice pivot for them, if you will, if they went outside the organization. I actually don't have any names off the top of my head. I probably should.
We don't really either.
But I don't. But I don't have any names off the top of my head right now. However, I do think that if you go outside the organization, it might benefit the Predators at this stage because they've been, it's been a lot of consistency there, and consistency is a good thing, but sometimes you need that little bit of a shakeup.
So on the ice, Dan, I mean, they're 3 points out of a playoff spot after just a miserable start to the year. I mean, we all know last year was awful and it didn't go well for them. And, in the middle of November, you look around and it's like, well, here they go again. They're the worst team in the league. They can't score any goals. And then all of a sudden they've turned things around. Steven Stamkos is looking like, prime Steven Stamkos almost right now. He may end up with 40 goals when it's all said and done this year. And look, I have no idea whether or not they're going to get in the playoffs. They've at least made it interesting here, and they've got decisions to make coming up here before the NHL trading deadline as to, what do you do with O'Reilly? What do you do with Stamkos? All those things. But what do you make about where the Predators have now positioned themselves and where you think things go from here?
Well, I'll tell you what, they built this team last year, right? And I wrote this in my weekly mailbag on NHL.com last week. Stamkos comes in, Brady Shea comes in, right? I mean, O'Reilly's already there. Marchessault comes in. They built it to be a playoff team. They built it to be a contender, and it flopped. But they have a chance with these guys to be a playoff team right now, and they're all under contract beyond this season. So to me, you built this team to do this, to play meaningful games down the stretch, to push for a playoff spot. It was a miserable start, so they're playing catch up the whole time, but they're almost caught up. And to me, it's outside of the 5 teams in the West, the top 3 in the Central, and then Vegas and Edmonton. It's a why not us right now? Race for the wild card, especially if you're the Predators, right? Because they can't finish third in the Pacific. Somebody has to finish third in the Pacific, but they won't be able to do it. So I look at it and say, go for it. This is the team you built to go for it. So do that. And then evaluated at the end. They don't have to trade Stamkos. They don't have to trade O'Reilly. They don't have to trade Marchessault. They don't have to do any of those things. These guys are signed for, so they're not rentals. They're not risking losing them for nothing. So go for it. We've seen it in Nashville, right? When you get in, hey, look, what can happen? We saw it. It's been a while, but we did see it happen before 9 years ago in Nashville. So why not them doing it right now? And then you bring in a new GM, and then a new GM can kind of figure out where he wants to go with the pieces that he's got. Or maybe they get in the playoffs and they make a run, and they're like, you know what, we're going to run it back just the way we got it because it worked. It's a team that's got a lot of talent, and it just was really underperforming at the start of the season, and it looked like things were just going to fly off the rails, but they got it back on, so now you might as well go for it.
Amid that, I still probably figure, Dan, that they're going to get a lot of calls about O'Reilly in particular, right? Just because of his particular situation. How intense do you think the market for him will be? Like, how do you think, are there some teams in mind that might really put something together that might be hard to turn down for the Preds?
Well, listen, I mean, he is a reliable, experienced number 2/number 3 center that he's predictable. You know exactly what you're going to get from Ryan O'Reilly pretty much game to game, and he's going to be a valuable guy for you guys for whatever team he's on, and you have him for next year too. So I think there's a big market for him. I really do. The interesting one is in the Eastern Conference, the Rangers have Vincent Trocheck, who is a similar type of player as Ryan O'Reilly, a little bit younger, signed for another year or two beyond O'Reilly. And the Rangers, we know the direction they're going on. And I think the Rangers could be looking to trade him. So some of those teams that might be looking to say, ooh, O'Reilly would be great for us, might also be looking at Trocheck and saying he would be great for us. And then you got to see where it goes from there. But I mean, like, if I'm the Predators, I'm not mortgaging big pieces of my future to go out and get rentals to try to make the playoffs this season. I'm looking at my team right now and I'm saying we have a chance to make the playoffs this season. Maybe we nibble around the edges a little bit, but then we can figure it out from out of there. I'm not trading O'Reilly unless I'm getting a deal that I'm absolutely blown away by. But if you trade him, like, what message does that send to the rest of the team? Like, you fought your way back into this, and they got a big game tonight. I mean, you fought your way back into this. If you let him look to move a big piece like Ryan O'Reilly, it's a poor message being sent to your team. Like, yeah, you fought your way back, but we don't care. I don't like that message.
It's a really fascinating dilemma that I think Barry Trotz is going to be in. Huge game tonight for the Preds, taking on the Minnesota Wild. Dan, really kind with your time as always. Appreciate so much you taking time to be with us this morning, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
Got it, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Dan Rosen, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll react to what Dan had to say on the Predators front. Paul Kuharsky will be with us later in the program as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Appreciate Dan Rosen from NHL.com for being with us in the last segment. Dan's all in, baby. Preds are going for it. Dan Rosen's in.
Yeah, Dan. I mean, if he's taking over, it's like, let's buy. I know he did say not going out and buying anything, but he's not selling.
No.
Not selling anything.
Look, there are Predators fans that the more they play, the more they kind of buy into that. We've heard from them this week. It's like, well, they're 3 points out of a playoff spot. They're fun to watch. I mean, they just came back from 5-1 down the other night. Stamkos is playing great. Forsberg's playing great. Yossi's playing great. Let it ride and see what – I mean, the one thing he said there that I think that does make this interesting is a lot of the guys that we're talking about whether or not they trade, like, look, could they get a decent pick for Michael Bunting, who's a unrestricted free agent coming up? Sure. Maybe somebody gives him like a third rounder. I've said it before. Like, I think people will be stunned if they decide to trade him, like what the return could look like for Michael McCarron based on who's trying to go get him because of the specific role that he could play for a team. But, I mean, you're not getting a huge return for Michael McCarron. We all know that. Eric Halla, you're not getting a huge return. But the guys that we're talking about, like O'Reilly, you're going to get a gigantic return. He is under contract next year. Stamkos is under contract for 2 more years. Marchessault is under contract for 3 more years. So there is some term here that does give you some flexibility if you're the Predators. My argument on the O'Reilly front is I think he is at absolute maximum value right now because he's got, if you're a team trading for him, number one, he's having a great year. So that is the one thing. Like, I agree with what Dan said. I think on a contending team, like one of these top teams, if they made a deal to get Ryan O'Reilly, he's probably a number 2 guy, maybe even a number 3, depending on where it would be. But right now he's playing like a number 1 for this team, right? So, I mean, he's a point per game. So he's playing really well. But I think he's at maximum value right now. I think because he's got an additional year left on his deal, because of the position that he plays, and because of how well he's playing, I think he could fetch you an awful lot right now. Not to say he couldn't fetch you a lot next year either, but then you're talking about just 1 year left on the contract after that point. So I do think it's different.
Yeah, if I'm a Preds fan or if I'm in that room, I'm disappointed if there's some Bunting like deal. Like, just keep just keep it together and let the guys in the room keep doing their thing. If it's a big deal, an O'Reilly deal, I gotta say, like Stamkos, obviously like O'Reilly's perfect because you have that 1 year left on the deal.
Yeah.
Stamkos is 2. That's a lot. It's big, but I mean, I don't know, man. The way he's playing right now, you're telling me there aren't some teams out there like,
they'll get calls on Stamkos.
We'll take, but I mean, like, could it get more of a return than you might have thought even like a couple weeks ago? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, the one thing with him is it's just when you're talking about an $8 million contract, it's really hard for a lot of teams to make that work.
Yeah.
Not impossible. I mean, the cap's going up, but right, like
but for
right
this
now,
year, I mean,
for this year right now, it's hard to make.
Yeah,
that work.
if you could make it work, what an ad that could be. Just to have him just
on your power
play on
yeah.
the left circle, like what a boost that is, right?
Yeah.
So I would not rule that out, but obviously O'Reilly, as you've been talking about a long time, he's the belle of the ball and the big question.
Well, and Stamkos also has total control. Like if he doesn't want to go anywhere, and he doesn't have to go anywhere, he's got trade protection. O'Reilly does not. Although they have treated him,
they're letting
like
him,
they have
his own ghost.
I don't know that I
protection.
would do that anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I love
you want to work with him.
You want to work with him.
You
You
want
want to do right
yeah.
by him. But like, I guess what I'm saying is, if you get this monstrous deal that is from a team that O'Reilly deep down really doesn't have any interest in going to play for, but it's a deal that really accelerates things in your organization. Like, I'm sorry, but I think you got to do that if you're Barry Trotz. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, look, they win tonight, they win tomorrow. I mean, they could conceivably either be in a playoff spot or right there on the verge of it by the time the Olympic break comes back. So it is a very, I think, tricky and fascinating decision that Barry Trotz has got coming up.
And he's doing it as a lame duck GM now. So what does
Yeah,
that mean?
he
Does that
is.
change anything?
Yes. It's like, wow, Barry just gave up 3 first-round picks to go get he pried Sidney Crosby away from the Penguins. How about that?
He's gonna be like Two-Face and Batman, just
Yeah.
like flip the coin.
How do you Which way do I go? He's got the magic 8-ball in his office, just shaking it. What should
Yeah,
I do?
why not, man?
Yeah.
Have some fun with it.
I mean,
It's just the future of the franchise, and
Yeah.
possibly the city. No pressure.
I told this to you off the air. You know, we've talked about this. If they make the playoffs, they're probably playing one of 3 teams, and I guess you could add let's say one of 5 teams just to be safe. If they make the playoffs, they are going to be playing one of Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas out of the Central, or Vegas or Edmonton out in the Pacific. You know, Colorado looked unbeatable earlier this year. They've kind of stalled a little bit here, but we know how good they are. Like they're really good. I mean, they're at 81 points already, so they're really good. Minnesota, it's a big game tonight. You're going to see them firsthand. Dallas, we know how good they are. They've been in the Western Conference Final a billion years in a row. Edmonton, I still say out of all those teams, the team that if you're the Predators, like I have no interest in playing in the first round is Edmonton, just because McDavid and Draisaitl. Like there's nothing you can do with them. Like as they have clearly demonstrated, particularly against this team, there ain't nothing you can do with them. And I know the Predators beat them earlier this year and all that stuff, but
They might get a game.
they might get a game. Like it's so. But on the flip side, I understand if you're a Predators fan, you're like, this is the most fun I've had watching the hockey team in a couple years, right? I mean, I think we would all admit this is the most fun they've been to watch since they went on
Since
the
they went on that
18
run
game
2
point
years
streak
ago.
and went on the run 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah.
So what does that all mean at the end of the day?
Yeah. And it's all like, as we've been talking about, the guy who has struggled, and obviously it's the most important guy in your team. Like, that's part of how you feel too, right? Do you feel like Saros is going to be in a position to steal games in a postseason series, to change the math in your favor? Because right now that's not what it is.
Now it's not looking that way.
But that to me, that's where, okay, a team, because go back to 17. There was a lot that went into that, including an incredible decor. But yeah, your goalie changed the math and elevated you above teams that maybe that you shouldn't have beaten. So, like, right now, they seem far from that. But it's not like we haven't seen Saros have. I mean,
Well,
he's had Vezina level seasons.
I'm going to assume, and I understand, like, you look at the standings, and it's like, well, they're only 3 back. I'm going to assume it's a logjam. Utah, Seattle, LA, San Jose, and yourself. You're all kind of right there together. I'm going to assume if they make the playoffs, that's probably going to at least require Saros is going to have to be pretty good down the stretch.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine them getting there if he doesn't go.
I know the offense has gotten better, but I don't think the Predators are putting up 6 a night, going down the stretch here. So if they're going to make the playoffs, it's going to require down the stretch that he plays pretty consistently well. And if he doesn't, then they're probably just not going to make it. Like, it's not that it's all on him, but large part of it is going to be on him.
Yeah. So if they do make it, then you would assume he'd be playing at a level that at least makes it interesting.
Yep. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. More of your thoughts to get to on the Predators. Paul Kuharsky will be with us in the second half of the program. We got the rant coming up later this hour. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Jerry on the text line says, Preds have notoriously been slow starters. Do you fear the Olympic break will slow their momentum or stop their momentum altogether and they'll come out and just fall flat after the break? I think that is a very good question. You know, I said it earlier. Like, part of the race is going to be determined here about like who can get back up to speed after the Olympic break the quickest, right? And if you start slow and you're not good in your first 5 games out of the break, well, that may be all it takes to take you completely out of the race at that point. So that is going to be, I think, one of the defining questions in this next part of the season here when they come back is, you know, first off, take care of your business the next couple of days and stay in there, like stay in the race. But if you can do that, how quickly can you start on the other side of it? Going to be interesting.
Yeah. And if not, then I guess not that the pressure is quite the same, but for Barry Trotz, you could give him clarity. It's like the some combination somewhere in between is where it gets hard, right?
Yeah.
So either pedal to the metal and make it clear, like, okay, this team is in there, give this team a chance, or okay, yep, that was a nice little tease and pick up the phone.
Well, I mean, where you're at right now is hard. Like, what if they are where they are right now, by the time the deadline comes around, which is 3 points out of the playoff spot? What do you do then if you're Barry Trotz?
I don't know.
I would argue you sell, but
I would.
Some
bet
people disagree with that.
I would bet he won't.
Yeah, some people would disagree with that. So I think it's. And look, there are some other Predators fans that say it doesn't matter if you're in the playoffs by 5 points. You're not beating either one of those teams or any of those teams in the first round. Sell anyway. I don't think that would happen at that point, but I understand that way of thinking. Like, there are some Predators fans that look at where they are right now and say, look, this team is not winning a championship. And if you're not winning a championship, get yourself in a position where you can stockpile as much as you can moving forward and try to kick that thing down the road a little bit, which I understand. Not always the right move, by the way, but I do understand it.
I get the sentiment. I do. You know, there's people who go to the games, who want to watch games that matter, who pay a lot for the seats. There's those people. And also, you know, it's there is the whole Ryan O'Reilly as a guy who is valuable to have in your organization when you have this young team next year too. There is that. Oh, and look, Ryan O'Reilly loves it here. He clearly does. Now, ultimately, I think he wants to win, and he's won a Stanley Cup. He's been a playoff MVP. Like, he knows what that looks like. He's going to be 35, I think, like in 3 days. Yeah, 3 days from now, he'll be 35 years old. So you got 1 year left on your deal beyond this one. I mean, look, the way he takes care of himself, the way that he's played this year, is it impossible that 2-3 years from now he could still be a pretty effective player in this league? No, it's not impossible. Like, he could be. So we keep talking about a trade. Like, who knows? Maybe he wants to sign another contract here. I have no idea. I just think when you get into, 35-year-old territory, that's what makes this part of this complicated too, is he's going to be 35. Stamkos is already 35. Like, these guys that have come on here, it's good to see, but you also, as a general manager, like, part of your job is you have to look ahead and give your best guess of what you think this is going to look like in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years. I don't know. It's hard to know, even for guys as established as like Stamkos and O'Reilly are. It's hard to know when that wall comes, when you start to get into 36, 37 years old. It's just very difficult to know. Yeah. So it's like if they could get hauls for, let's say, O'Reilly and Stamkos, I mean, I feel like how could you complain about that? I
don't think you could.
Yeah.
Now, I understand, like, look, Stamkos in particular right now. O'Reilly has been doing it basically all year. Like, from the start of the year, he's been really good. I mean, Stamkos, a month into the season, you wonder, it's like, man, he has completely fallen off a cliff. And we talked about it on the show. I never really believed that. But I'll be honest, like, it got to a point where I didn't really see this coming. Like, if you'd have told me he'd had 27 goals by February the 4th, when I think he had 4 in his first 22 games, I'm like, well, no, that's probably not going to happen. But right now, right now, I'm wondering if he's going to hit 40. by the end of the year. Like, that's to his credit. That's what he's done. So is that what he is next year? Because if that's what he is next year, Joe, it's difficult for me to trade right now if I'm the Predators.
Yeah. But if that's what he is next year and somebody else out there really believes that and they're willing to take on 2 more years.
Yeah. It's a heck of a dilemma, man.
They might have an interesting call for you.
Yeah. It's a heck of a dilemma. It really is. And then the one that I think beyond those two, because everybody's going to be looking at those two. And, names that we mentioned earlier in the show get brought up after that, whether it's, McCarron, Holla, all those guys, which is interesting. I mean, if you ended up trading O'Reilly, McCarron, Holla, it's like, well, somebody's going to have to play center, right? It's like Tyson Jost. You're like, you're number one center.
Fetch go out, number one center.
Yeah. Fetch, come on back up. So that's neither here nor there. I'm really interested, and I think specifically for this team where they are right now, I don't know that where they are in the standings is going to matter all that much with this player. Does anybody call about March or so and says, you know what? It's $5.5 million. He's not had a good year. He's been hurt for most of the year. It clearly is not a great fit in Nashville. Like, they just haven't been able to make it work. But we feel like on our team, with how we're structured, and maybe the center depth for this team is way better, and you can plug in with somebody that you feel good about, we'll take a shot. And I don't know what that return would look like. And I don't know. I don't think it would be huge for the Predators. It would probably be more like, getting the money off the books and just getting him moved on. Like, I think the Predators could be in the playoffs and they'd still probably pull the trigger on that move with him specifically.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. And again, it really is interesting to just thinking about, and obviously this was a bombshell for all of us. They've been talking about this internally and stuff like that, but like, I don't know. Is there any difference in mindset for Trotz? I mean, he wants to leave the place, as well as, he wants to leave the Preds as good a position as he can leave them. Right.
Yep.
But like, it is different, right? If you are in that job and it's gone the way it's gone, I feel like there's like just tons of pressure to not screw this up. There's no pressure now, right? I mean, there's pressure because, again, you want things to go well for these guys and all that, but I don't know, just such a difference in urgency and all that in that seat.
You would think. Maybe it doesn't change the way he views it. I don't know, but you would think that would be the case.
Just human nature would suggest so. But again, I have no idea what that means in terms of how it might make him think differently one way or the other, but it's just interesting to think of him in that seat now, just like, I mean, it's just playing out the string, man.
Yeah. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com will be with us coming up next. We'll have the rant. We will get into all things Titans and NFL with him. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Eastbound and down. Kuharsky is on his way.
Which one of you has gout?
Wee Wednesday.
I mean, I'd probably cut it in half.
Vrabel, smash away.
Catch one stray pee-pee and
Paul Kuharsky. If I mention my name, it's Kuharsky, and it's paulkuharsky.com.
Seems like he knows the puck from his elbow.
do you know your elbow from your ass?
Because it sucks to lose, Gentry.
This sucks. Losing sucks.
It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. We also welcome Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com to the program with us as well this morning. I don't know what it was about that matchup, but I especially enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I'm enjoying a little NCOT B right now too. I know Paul is. You're a big NCOT B fan, right?
I didn't know that was NCOT B, but it's a catchy tune.
Don't lie, man.
I don't lie about music.
The right stuff.
About music.
Specifically about music, I don't lie.
Hi, Paul. Oh, yeah. So,
Good
rant.
morning,
All right.
everyone.
Do you want to just start talking or should I rant about
Well, no,
this
I mean,
topic?
you were just seconds ago before the microphones came on, you were begging anyone to rant.
Do you want to have a rant?
Now it's like, everyone be quiet. I'm about to rant.
Now he's typing.
Now I'm laughing because that mashup made me laugh a lot. All right, here's one thing I just want to throw out there. It's a little bit annoying, and this is from me just watching Chris Sims. Maybe it's just that Chris Sims annoys me. He does. I do it too. So I probably shouldn't rip him, but he does like the voice. You know what I mean? Oh, Sam Darnold's a boss. Oh, like I do the same thing, and yet when he does it, it really bothers the hell out of me.
Sure.
So I just saw this clip from Chris Sims on the whatever red carpet. What do they have out there? Some kind of like award show? They had a red carpet.
That's tomorrow night.
It was like taped or something, and it's going to air tomorrow night, or
No, it's live tomorrow night.
well, he was on some red carpet. They just got interviewed. I don't know what it was. Who knows? Maybe he went to a movie premiere.
Titans legend, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
One game.
But so the point being, he's everybody's a boss, and it's like, and Darnold is obviously the great example of second chances. We've talked about it a million times. But let's also remember, because what happens when somebody has this kind of success, especially if he wins the Super Bowl, then we're going to be talking a whole lot in this league, right? About, the second chance quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
No development. People give up on him. Like, some quarterbacks actually do suck, okay? Let's also remember, like, are we going to turn this into who is going to give Zach Wilson his big opportunity? No, he's not good. We know he's not good. There are still more of these guys than not. In fact, I would argue way more of these guys than not are not good, and they won't be good. You can put them anywhere, and they're not going to be good. So, great story, Sam Darnold. Fantastic. I mean, and if he completes the job, then finally I think people can stop saying Sam Darnold is going to turn into a pumpkin. Like, he's good. I think we should all know he's good now anyway. But he is still the exception. Baker Mayfield is still the exception. Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Tua, help me keep. We can go on and on and on.
Mac Jones has done some
Pickett.
good things. Mac Jones had a good relief term for San Francisco this year.
Oh, stop it.
They
Stop
kept
messing up
him
my
in.
rant. Those people are the rule, okay? You can think Mac Jones is good, but those people are the rule. Agree or disagree?
Agree to an extent. I mean, there is now it used to be you had to draft a home run pretty much, or have a long-term guy there. And there now is a small compartment of second chance guys that is a reasonable pool to consider when you're looking for a quarterback that previously did not really exist. You either busted or you made it.
And
Tannehill.
We're
was a
about
good
to
example
see
here.
another. It's going to happen again this offseason. Like, Malik Willis is going to go play somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, whether he takes off or
I
not,
have no clue. But he's going to go play.
but
And he's a
gonna get
little
chance.
different because he was a third-round pick, so
Sure.
they're already, like, the expectations were already somewhat limited, right?
Yes.
As opposed to the top 10 QB who gets discarded.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's still an exception for sure.
I mean, I'm glad that there's stories like this.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's just I can see this getting
Out of hand.
yes.
Here's I was just talking to Ian about this before I came in, and here's the interesting thing about it too. and this is another situation where there needs to be gray. If Sam Darnold plays okay in this Super Bowl, but let's say it's a tight game, and let's say that the key to the Patriots either being in it or winning it is getting one big mistake out of Sam Darnold that is a game-turning point. People can't go to the other side and say, oh, see, Sam Darnold wasn't all he was chalked up. Sam Darnold is already, between last year in Minnesota and this year in Seattle, a top quarterback. You're not going to call him elite, but, I mean, a quarterback that can lead your team to the Super Bowl very clearly.
Yeah.
A very
He's
good
the top half of the league, right?
A very good quarterback. Beyond top half, top third, I'd say.
Top
Right?
10?
Top
Is he
10?
top 10 QB? You
I'd
got
say
to
he's
start,
12.
start listing the names, and then it gets tighter. But yeah,
I'd say
could
10,
be.
10, 12.
Yeah.
I'd very happily take him. If I didn't have a quarterback, I would very happily take Sam Darnold over a draft pick in this draft for sure.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Yes.
But if he makes the play in this game that leads to New England being Super Bowl champions, there's going to be a lot of narrative that's like, oh, he wasn't really that good. He didn't really get it done. He does everything to get them there. He wins an NFC championship with a brilliant game. And then people are going to say, oh, see who Sam Darnold really is?
Yeah.
Which is that's going to happen. And it's not fair, not deserved for all he's done over the last 2 years. The guy's a legitimate NFL star.
Yeah. I'd like to see that. I actually need him to win and then blow it in the next Super Bowl, and then see if anybody still says, "Hey, one measly
fluke Super Bowl," but he didn't do it twice.
Well, again, I said this earlier in the show, but I think there was also the thought last year is like, well, yeah, he had a good year, but number one, he choked in the last couple of games, and number two, I mean, look at Minnesota; they were all loaded without him. It's like, well, they got rid of him this year, and they weren't any good, right?
And their D was still good.
Their D was good. They had Justin Jefferson still on that roster last time I checked.
Yeah.
And they weren't any good.
He and paternity leave have cost a guy a job.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an interesting topic to get into.
I mean, people really don't take it well. And look, should you get paternity leave? Yes. Do a lot of people think there's only so much a man does in the first couple months of a baby's life? Fair or not? Yes. But in the football culture, for scouts who, probably were, depending on the time of year their kid was born, still at a Best Western at Northern Montana, looking at prospects, is that going to go over well during training camp?
Probably not.
The facts of life are it's not, especially as things ultimately fall apart on your end of the franchise. And so, I mean, it's an understandable cultural clash there.
It's a generational thing too. I mean,
Yeah,
totally. Like the generations, I guess I would say younger than us, but maybe I don't know, definitely younger than us. There is, and I give them credit, like life balance and all that stuff. You think that they're good for you, but like it's
certain businesses,
it doesn't compute. Yeah.
No.
Like and so if you want to be in that business with the rewards that come with it, I mean, like I respect it, but also like I'm not surprised that would rub people the wrong way.
And
it's
certain
the
months,
reality of the league.
Certain months in the NFL are different. Training camp month, you're pretty much there 24/7, and so when you're not, it gets people's attention. And when that goes hand in hand with you having let Sam Darnold go and struggling through a quarterback thing and not delivering on your analytics background and not drafting well and all of that. It's just weird that they let him go to the Senior Bowl and then bring him
exactly.
back and fire him.
I'm going to fire you now.
What were the Wolves so busy with?
That's a great question.
Thanks for doing all that work, and now you're fired. Okay.
Kyle in Shelbyville says Levis will bring us a second-round pick if Darnold wins the Super Bowl. Have at it, buddy. A second chance quarterback? Yes.
Yeah.
Get Will Levis in there.
Yeah, that idea that there's going to be direct influence from what Darnold does onto what Levis might do is a real stretch.
Where is Levis going to be next year?
I don't know. We need Brian Daboll to have some time to consider him and consider other options at backup quarterback. But he's not getting a second round. A guy that cost you a second round pick is not bringing back a second round pick after shoulder surgery and nobody seeing him throw since then.
He'd get what?
I think
would he get a 6? Would Levis bring a 6?
Probably somewhere in that neighborhood.
You think maybe a fifth?
I was going to say
Conditional.
fifth with some conditions.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'm not great trade estimator by any means. Not my strength.
Right now, he's backup for the Titans. It's good to have him around.
I don't hate the idea of him
I'll tell you
being
this,
backup.
Too. It's all about his mindset coming out of that.
After having watched Brandon Allen play against Jacksonville, I'll take Will Levis as the backup quarterback. That's fine.
Yeah, that is the question. Is Levis like, okay, humbled, let's do this, and then at some point I get my chance, or is it like, get me the hell out of there? I'm good enough to do more somewhere else, where they don't have a must. He has to be the franchise guy because he's the number one pick. Send me somewhere else where like they don't have to play the other guy.
But if they keep him, and they've got all the hand in this, if they keep him and he says, I'm going to be sour about it and an irritant for a new regime that's coming in and everything, I mean, how does that benefit him at all?
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
No, it doesn't.
From a philosophical standpoint, I wonder, like, how much do the Titans care about having a veteran quarterback in there with Ward? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, Ward just played 17 games, so it's not like he's inexperienced at this point, but you're still a relatively young quarterback. How much do you care about having that grizzled vet in there with it?
Well, I mean, you could still have a guy. I'm not saying Trevor Siemian is a grizzled vet, but he's been through it. You get a guy like that for camp, at least, to be the senior voice. And then when the season comes around, do you need that? I would argue, unless you have absolutely the right guy. No.
And Levis plays well in the preseason. You send him just like they did with Willis. You send him somewhere then.
I need the backup quarterback to be able to step in and play. I'm glad Brandon Allen had a nice relationship with Ryan Callahan. I need the backup quarterback to be able to step in and play. Yeah. I think we saw that
and if
on full display last time.
If it can't, then you go young with potential upside, knowing that that's a crapshoot. But as opposed to keeping an old guy around who can't play, I'm for a young guy that maybe could do something, upside in terms of you developing it.
Paul Kuharsky with us for the next hour, talking all things Titans. We will take your questions for him as well. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us for the next hour, talking all things Titans, talking Pro Football Hall of Fame, talking Super Bowl coming up this Sunday. Take your questions for PK as well, 615-737-1025.
So I forgot my notebook. I asked one of my two fellow reporters over here if they have a notebook that I could steal a piece of paper out of. Robby also doesn't have a notebook. Joe pulls out this accordion. Look at that. I mean, that is an embarrassment.
Yeah, there's a lot of good notes on that. Let's look at some of the quotes on
It's
here.
probably from like a Michigan State practice in 2000.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God.
Everything. There's just
looks like an
total
absolute flood.
disaster.
Now the paper that I just got is coffee soaked.
Jesus.
Because Joe is a maniac.
I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
Disaster
Unbelievable.
going on in
What-
here.
And
I
then
really was enjoying that coffee,
by
too.
the time I get a piece of paper, I come back in here and I forget what I wanted to write down. And now I'm soaked in coffee. I love the way you're urgently
Well, I don't know what to do. I don't have anything to wipe it
Get
off.
some napkins. Kuharsky and I will handle the segment. Go get the napkins.
Go get the
Oh,
napkins.
Good grief.
Unbelievable.
You got
Ian's
Ian's
going now.
Ian's lost it in there.
Getting
I'm
a
sorry,
mop.
Ian. Thanks,
Sorry
Ian.
to Ian.
Appreciate
Be
it.
sorry to me. I'm not wearing a splash guard.
Damn it.
So inappropriate.
But this is all like really, it's all your fault. Like you started the whole conversation. Like, what do you?
I started the conversation and it made your hands fly up in a way that knocked over your 16th coffee.
What do you
that
need?
was-
What do you need a notebook
That
for?
was on me. I needed to write something down, which I've now forgotten.
Well, yeah,
See,
exactly.
now-
If you just had a
forgot.
notebook like a normal reporter,
Thanks, Ian.
I would have been fine.
This was a long way of getting to. We finally got Kuharsky some paper, and then he had no idea what he
We'll
wanted to
be
write
back
down.
after these words from our sponsors.
Good grief.
There we go. See, we're all set. Nice
That's
and
not
clean.
wiping up. That's like
It's like Big
Putting
Daddy. Just
paper
put some
down.
newspaper on
We'll
it.
be changing Rexrode and Kuharsky's diaper after this segment, too.
I did nothing wrong. All right, back to you, Robby.
Good grief.
By the way, I'd like to redo my rant because the Washington Post is closing its sports
Well,
department.
you knew that
so-
was coming. didn't you?
I didn't think it was going to be complete closing. I knew they were laying off people. I mean, obviously they're closing the sports department. They're going to cover sports as a quote cultural phenomena. Yeah. Now that's good. Let's not notice how important sports is to news organizations and how profitable it is and how important is it. Also, how amazing your own sports staff is. That's really
So
good.
Look, if you're
Really good,
filthy
guys.
rich running a newspaper, you can run it at a bit of a loss or whatever. They did something really stupid last year that prompted people to cancel, and they're suffering the consequences for it now. And the wrong people are suffering the consequences for it.
Insane. Insanity.
Your boys.
I'm glad I could change the subject from my
Coffee spill.
Yeah.
No,
Let's head to the
we'll
phone
revisit.
line. Welcome in Ed in New Jersey to the program. Ed, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys. So as the Titans rebuild this thing going forward, obviously they can go different directions. So I'm going to leave you guys with a quick question. Over the next 5 years or so, if you could only be dominant on one side of the ball, and I'm talking like a top, 2 unit in the game, where are you prioritizing? What are you picking, offense or defense, and why?
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate the call.
Well,
You do have a defensive head coach. I would go offense, though, because that would suggest that your quarterback's pretty darn good. So I think offense would be the way that I would go. I think most teams would probably select offense. Having said that, now I understand Seattle is really good in all phases. Drake May just had a borderline MVP year, so we'll see. But if you watch the playoffs, Seattle's defense, pretty legit. New England's defense, pretty legit. Big reason why they're there. But I would go offense.
I mean, you want exciting football to watch, I think, on top of contending to win. It's hard not to say offense. Quarterback-based teams are generally going to do pretty well. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson have been having pretty good success. Maybe not Super Bowls. Mahomes has been doing it all. Tom Brady was a pretty successful Super Bowl quarterback. He had some good defensive teams, but they started and were centered around him. It's hard not to say in a fantasy land, if I could choose, that I wouldn't take offense.
Yeah. I agree. If we're really talking about like the draft. And to me, I'm a big believer, especially when you're bad in just whatever is the best player. And so, I mean, I've said this, and I already got some people mad. I'll say it again. I'm not down on the Titans taking a tackle if they think where they are. If that's who they think the best player is. There's a lot of offensive tackles that are going to go in the first round. Maybe none of them are going to be, great players, but if you have a great player at that position, a lot of people would be upset with that pick because of all that they've tried to do with the offensive line. But think about what would if you think Latham can be really good and you can get a left tackle who is your future and is a pillar over there. Think about what that does for Cam Ward.
I'm down on it.
I asked Sala
Joe.
specifically about, solving the offensive line problem, which has been a problem for a long time. And he said that Carmen Brasillo, their new offensive line coach, is a model of what they want for position coaches because he has been able to pull solid play out of third-day draft picks and beyond. And good,
that doesn't sound exciting.
Listen, and good position coaches are able to do that. Anybody can coach first rounders. So I went and looked, and Brasillo in 2022 with the Raiders, his first of 2 years there, had a line that missed only maybe 4 or 5 starting games. That was a first rounder, a third rounder, a fifth rounder, and 2 guys that were not drafted. They blocked for 1,600 yards for Josh Jacobs. And Derek Carr was sacked the eighth, or they gave up the 8th fewest sacks per game on average. That's very good offensive line results out of a line that had even less pedigree than you probably would expect out of an average line with 2 guys that were undrafted, a fifth, a third, a first. A nice mix, though, right? And that's what Sala was saying is we're going to have position groups with that kind of mix. And I need positional assistants who can develop and pull out of players their best for what they are. That's what Brasillo has a reputation of doing. That makes me think the Titans aren't going out and getting another very highly drafted offensive lineman. They think they have guys, and he should be able to get the very best out of a Dan Moore, the very best out of a Lloyd Cushenberry, better yet, Skoronski and Latham.
They just had the best offensive line coach in the NFL here, dude. I mean, that's great. It sounds good. Right. You could find Bill Callahan stuff that's just like that.
I was about to say, it doesn't sound good. It sounds exactly like what we were talking about with Bill Callahan from Cleveland. Did you see the guys in Cleveland he worked with? It would be good here.
Exactly.
That's fine. But Bill Callahan obviously did not get it done for his 2 years here. Now, was that a sabbatical or was that the end of Bill Callahan being a good offensive line coach?
We're going to find out. Down there in Atlanta.
Olga and Bertha just both broke down here. They got rusty.
We're gonna find out. But I that made me come away thinking, well, they're not looking for first round talent on the offensive line. They feel like they have stuff they can work with.
I think that's a fair takeaway.
They worked with. I mean, the last 6 weeks of the season, the offensive line was satisfactory.
No, I think all that's fair. And if I heard that, I would think they're probably not going offensive lineman either. I'm just saying, like, in practice, that is a lot of what we heard from Bill Callahan. It didn't work out so great.
Yeah. And also look around the league, like look at the top like left tackles in the league and how many of them were UDFAs who got it happens here and there, but most of them were like top 5, top 10 picks because they were that good.
Having said that, they better not do that with number 4 overall pick. Let's head back to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
The more I think about it, I'm like, either Bill Callahan sucked or he was just like, I don't know, it'd be like if you guys brought your kid to work and they would just refuse to talk, like the guy on the longest yard, like, you got to talk to me, Bob. Like, maybe he's just like, my son sucks so bad, I can't possibly do a good job here because he sucks, but I have to pretend like he doesn't. I don't know, man. I think about Bill Callahan in those senses, but it is not what I call it. So my question for you, and this is for you specifically, PK, I always hear, and this is a question I've always had, never got answers to, when people say this guy has ties to an organization, like Brian Callahan obviously had ties to Brandon Allen. Look how good that worked out. But, like, what makes somebody have ties? Is it just he played for him before? What does somebody having ties to an organization mean to you?
Well, I'm comfortable with this
Where'd
guy.
that come from?
I'm comfortable with this guy because I've worked with him before, and I know he'll come in and reinforce my system with the young quarterback. And in a pinch, he'll go out, and while he's not the most physically talented guy, he can execute my scheme. Look, it's all about trusting people you know. Look, they went and hired an analytics guy, a game management guy, Cade Knox, who's the new Stretch, if you will. Well, the Stretch in between Stretch and this guy wasn't very good. Now you hope this guy who's a Harvard guy is good. Well, where's he come from? He was Daboll's guy, and
Daboll's. You guys start saying it right.
Dable.
Right?
That's what he said.
You're still doing the Daboll.
Who said Dable?
Dable did.
He did.
Back at Alabama, apparently.
We played the clip on the air.
Well, if
Dable.
he was saying it at Alabama, how was he saying it in New York?
I don't know.
I want
That's
the
a
New
good
York. I
question.
want the New York style.
Hi, y'all. I'm Dable. And up there.
Hey, I'm Dable.
I mean, he's
No,
Canadian.
we've seen it happen.
Canadian
We've seen
pronunciation.
it happen with
Dable,
Brian Kelly. These names change and travel for the region.
That's true.
Yeah, especially SEC guys.
Family. Well, you need to nail this down. Anyway, continue with your point.
I'll get on it. So, it's a league full of connections, and you go with guys you know and trust in most cases. Now, that's not always the case because Saleh worked with Frank Bush in two different circumstances, and Frank Bush isn't around. So,
yeah, you got to go for best possible. Who was the Stretch in between?
Rob Reederer.
Oh yeah.
Didn't
Why?
He didn't advise Brian Callahan very well about an elbow being down.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna blame Rob Reederer now. We're gonna
He's
blame
part of it.
Rob Reederer
Well,
instead of Brian Callahan.
Rob Reederer should be telling him, Brian, is unquestionably this is a challenge. And he should be telling him unquestionably, you can, or Mike McCoy should be telling him unquestionably, that is challengeable. Whether the referee's telling you that's challengeable or not, after replay review, there was a play late in the season. He's got to know. McCoy said, they told me it wasn't challengeable. Well, the guy in his ear has to be telling him it is absolutely challengeable. Fight him to the death that it's challengeable. Get him to ask New York if it's challengeable. They're not authoritative enough on these things that they have to be authoritative on, where Stretch absolutely knew, absolutely unquestionably knew.
How many years after Brian Callahan's tenure is PK still going to be making excuses for him? That's my question.
For Callahan?
Yeah.
Well, Callahan's got to know it too, but between the two of them, they have to know. And Reederer didn't do anything that distinguished himself.
Do you know your elbow from your ass?
615-737-1025. More with Paul Kuharsky.
Will Joe now hustle to clean up the remainder of his mess, or
I'm getting up.
Does he
You
think
relax.
a big pile of wet paper towels is sufficient?
Also
We'll
taking,
find out.
Now I don't want to get up because you said that.
Also
Shut
taking
up.
your bets on at what time today Kuharsky will remember what he was going to write down on the sheet of paper. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us here on the program, talking all things Titans. We welcome more of your questions at 615-737-1025. PK, what do you make of Gus Bradley joining the staff as defensive coordinator? As we know, Saleh will be the one calling plays, but now you've got your OC, your DC, your head coach figured out. What did you make of the Gus Bradley hiring?
This is one that really fell favorably into their lap, right? San Francisco wanting to go to Raheem Morris instead of promoting Gus Bradley, which would have made perfect sense there. Then Arizona. I don't know, did Arizona hire a defensive coordinator or just decided that they didn't want Gus Bradley? And so things fell. I'm sure he's making less money. Obviously, the Titans are spending more money on the offensive side of the ball when you've got a defensive head coach and he's not a play caller. So those things drive down your price. It's hard to have any objections to what we know about this staff so far. Very, very strong staff. Very bald staff, as we pointed out. I'm
very confident.
I'm all on board with this. So, hard not to be encouraged with the staff. I just keep, everybody wants to be high as a kite right now. We don't know who they're coaching. Who they're plugging into this scheme. So there's a huge another part in terms of who the free agents they bring in and who they draft, and then how quickly they can adapt. I think Saleh's going to have a good defense. Is it going to be this year or is it going to take 2 years when you look at how depleted that defense is? Besides Simmons, besides Gray, who are you really counting on that side of the ball? I know people are anxious to say Sweat. We've discussed this. We haven't had a chance to discuss it yet with him. He's not a fit in terms of what he's done in the past.
Yeah.
Can he make an adjustment that makes him fit, or is it just not a guy that does what they want to do, in which case we'll see him flipped for whatever they can get. I don't know if you can do that before the draft, which would be ideal to turn it into a pick on the front side of that. But it's not going to be, super lucrative. They've got to restock that secondary. He's going to hire a nickel coach, which I find fascinating, but Marcus Harris, whoever else they get for nickel, Winston, and a nickel linebacker type are going to get some very precise, direct coaching about that very specific and very important job. I think that's really cool. They'll be like the third or fourth team with that level of focus on that specific role. That's interesting. But, there's so much to fill in on defense. And we know clearly you want to surround Cam with better people. And so some of these resources are going to be dedicated, certainly, I think, to a wide receiver, maybe an upgrade at running back, and probably a tight end to replace Chig that is a more versatile player. So you're dedicating resources to help Cam while you're fleshing out this new schematic defense. There's a lot of personnel work.
So Saleh presser, which everybody was impressed by. Then he had more stuff with you guys who covered the team on a daily basis. What have you learned about him other than apparently he wants to to play with a bunch of overachieving tomato cans on the offensive line?
Well, I thought it was interesting that he said, that he researched the team as much as the team researched him. And I did write a piece about this, like how much exactly could he research? Certainly he could talk to Malarkey and Vrabel and Callahan and Rustin Webster and John Robinson and Rand Carthon. And you get as much as you can from those guys. But I don't know how much you can really get into Amy Adams Strunk.
That's the thing, right? You're just trying to figure out, like, is this going to be like a Woody situation, or is it just like she fires people when they don't do well too early?
So I'll share this quote. He said, at the end of the day, we've got to produce. It's a production business. I have full confidence that we are going to at least have the resources to be able to compete with 31 other teams. As a coach, that's all you can ask for. Then this is an interesting ending to me. Stuff like that doesn't need to be spoken. People can always say what they want to say. I see better than I hear. And what I see is an organization that is going all in with regard to reframing who they are and building a consistent winner in the NFL. For me, that's good enough.
I like that. It's good stuff.
Okay, so what do you read? Tell me, you're obviously reading into that.
Yeah, well, that's good enough isn't a ringing endorsement of ownership, is it?
At the press release, like of course, the first thing everybody says, like, the owner is amazing. Oh my God. You know?
That goes down a notch.
We're going on the Fox hunt next week.
That's good enough. She's intent on reframing it. Listen,
he'd be hard to hide in the Fox hunt, wouldn't he?
Robert, you're gonna have to crouch down a little bit.
I did. He is taller than you think. I'll say that. Standing face to face with him.
Fox got good eyesight. They can see you coming.
A little shine on the head.
I think
I took Vrabel out here. We had to get him to crouch too. It's okay.
Here's what I took as a good sign. From my reporting, Bryce Wasserman, the son-in-law, I know for a fact he was not in all of the 16 interviews, not in all of them. I suspect he wasn't in any of them, but I know he wasn't in all of them. Now, fair or not, we take him as her eyes and ears. And so that she didn't have eyes and ears per se on a personal level, just on a professional level in those meetings, I take as a good thing. He was involved in Nagy Saleh on Monday the 19th, but she's in those meetings as well. So it doesn't matter that she's got his eyes and ears because her eyes and ears are in there. But I took that as a step back from the ownership thing, which I take as a good sign.
Well, it's on the staff. I mean, they've gone completely opposite of Brian Callahan here, which is, I mean, not necessarily an unexpected thing, but you're not only talking about experience, you're talking about a former head coach at offensive coordinator, a former head coach at defensive coordinator, and Salah's already been a head coach too. So like there's head coaching experience at all three of the main parts of your defense. And then
plus special teams. Yeah. Him too.
Exactly. So like, I think Titans fans feel really good about that part of it. And now we'll see in practice what that looks like here, but it's the antithesis of that last staff that was put together.
Yeah. And if you go back hindsight, you look at that last staff, and you tend to go opposite what you have before. And Vrabel's coordinators didn't necessarily have a lot of experience, but you never go and say, you know what we're going to do as a changeup is hire all senior people that have no experience.
Yeah.
Nobody ever sits down and sets that up as your plan. So that was ill-fated from the start in hindsight, obviously. And we probably didn't hit that enough.
I agree.
At the time.
I think back,
how are they going
talk about that
with nobody having had any experience? If you hire a coach, a first-time play calling head coach, you always, I mean, Vrabel brought in Dean Pease, as a backup.
Well, Callahan had been in the same room as Peyton Manning at the time, so nobody cared. It's like, well, he's been around Peyton.
I think there was some like Denard Wilson's like a rising star. Okay, well, then it's like the OC. Who cares? It's his buddy. Sure, right. He's the guy. And then special teams. It was like it's not Ackerman, so it's got to be good, right? By the way, your boy got a job. By the way,
where they go now? Atlanta.
He's Atlanta.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm not.
A lot of former Titans coaches
super impressed with Atlanta overall, and Harbaugh is really not crushing it in terms of staff. And then
how about Hardegree ended up with Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about Cleveland, where Monken, the first thing that comes out after they hire Monken is that Monken used to stand pregame on the field talking to other coaches about how when he worked for Freddie Kitchens, they would work on stuff all week, and then Kitchens would call stuff that they didn't work on all week, and what a mess it is, and how I've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And he was talking smack about Jim Schwartz.
Now he's the head coach. And you get, I wasn't chipping Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett. He said, I wasn't. So he's putting down Schwartz, and he's making it like he was doing the chipping.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so awkward. Jim Schwartz totally got screwed there. He would have been great in San Francisco. I don't know how many defensive coordinator jobs are still open. Somebody should be absolutely pouncing on Jim Schwartz, except are the Haslams going to be jerks because he's under contract in Cleveland? And they have to at some point say, like, yeah, look, we screwed you, and we got to let you out. Otherwise, does Schwartz just protest and not go to work?
Hey, they let Bill Callahan out to come join his son on staff. The Haslams, they'll let him go.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. It's the right thing to do. I didn't even know
Though
about
Schwartz's son isn't anywhere, or his dad.
I didn't even see this Monken stuff you're talking about. I just saw the part where he's in his office. He's like, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm like, God, it's almost as bad as your guy Gannon with choo, 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 choo.
No, it's not.
It's not, but I was like, it's cringy, man.
Cleveland fans
it's very cringy.
deserve better. That defense is legitimately good. That division is legitimately in
flux.
And I mean, if they could get some things going on offense, and maybe Monken can get them going on offense, I don't know. But for him to come in and get a revolt from the incumbent defensive coordinator, who's the best thing you've got going with the personnel he has, it's
very Cleveland Brown thing.
More mess. Yeah.
615-737-1025, our phone number. More coming up next with PK. Could the Titans be getting new uniforms? A lot of you asking about that. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Paul Kuharsky from paulkuharsky.com with us here on the program, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I got some wristbands to give away to a very fun event that I've told you guys about all week. It is the National Wild Turkey Federation Sports Show at the Opryland Convention Center, Thursday, February the 12th through Saturday, February the 14th. I got a 4-pack of wristbands to caller 615-737-1025. Caller number 7 will win a 4-pack of wristbands to the National Wild Turkey Federation Sports Show coming up at Opryland Convention Center. So, PK, we've been asked this question a lot on the text line. Somebody asked us, like, before you even came on, to ask you about this, so I'm going to. Are the Titans getting new uniforms? What can you tell us about what could be right around the corner for the Titans on the uniform front?
Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion. Here's what we know. There's this rotating thing that's going on with these rivalry third uniforms, and the AFC South is in that this year. So there will be a third uniform that they wear for a game or two. That is not a new – I mean, yeah, that's a new uniform. That's not their new uniform. That's a alternate that they will wear at some point in 2026 for a game or two. We saw different divisions roll through that this year. The only evidence that they're getting new uniforms, like period, is that their jerseys are 40% off right now, which is what teams do and the league does when somebody's changing uniforms. A lot of people are saying, well, why would they be changing them for 2026 as opposed to 2027? There's a lot of branding going on at the new stadium. And when they're hanging all of these banners and doing all of the branding inside there, if they're just turning them over, months before the new stadium is turning, that's a pretty quick turn, I think, to get that stuff done. So that's why it might make sense for them to be doing it in 2026. But there's no evidence. Now, there's a guy out there who has some uniform knowledge who's been on now Graver and Mello's podcast, who's talking.
What's his name? Names.
Zach Cohen.
So it's not Tic Tac Titans. Okay.
So he said,
noted.
You've got to mention him every show. He
who Tic Tac Titans?
Yeah, done with that. He initially said that Warren Moon saying that the uniforms were futuristic leads him to believe they're chrome helmets. I think that's a huge leap in logic. I did a video. I said I'm not positive that Warren Moon saw real mock-up of this thing, and that Warren Moon's being given too much in this. And that I think
Warren Moon like on the dark web where they're like, what happened?
Warren Moon was here for Cam Ward's introduction where he gave his blessing on the number 1. But I think what he said and what he meant may not have been, totally accurate. And now this guy's saying that he saw, oil, or he knows that they worked on some kind of oil uniforms that would be black with a light blue number. Now, he's not very precise with his language about this oil uniform. I looked up, all the uniforms in the league are kind of oil-based fabric.
And to clarify, you're not talking about like Houston Oilers, Tennessee Oilers stuff. Yes.
The fabric.
Right.
But now people are coming back at me and saying what he meant is this dark with a light number on it. Well, I wish he had clarified that more, and he's not responding to what I wrote on it. But synthetic polymers, which is what the uniforms are made of, are oil-based, and that's what I took from what he was saying. To summarize, there's not real hard evidence about anything here except the jerseys have been on sale, and they will have these rivalry jerseys for a game or two this year. But it would make sense for them to have new. And the other thing that's in evidence, quote unquote, is they have the T logo with the 3 stars separate of flames up at Titan's house.
Yeah.
Now, is that them trending towards changing a logo, or is that it was hard to put the flames on the fancy logo that they have up on the wall there? I don't know. I think it looks pretty bad without the flames on. It's a very kind of simple circle.
They got Rand's T.
And the one other thing,
this
kind of Greek pattern, some people are circling it with the Greek pattern. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And some people had that like on the stripes last time the uniform was coming out. I don't think Amy Adams Strunk, in a conversation I had with her, like when I asked her if that was part of it, when I was looking for hints last uniform, she dismissed that and seemed to scoff at that. I don't think she loves that design. So I personally would be surprised if that was part of something.
All the important things that you could ask Amy Adams Drunk, and this is what you're wasting
This
your
is
time
a long
back.
time
This
ago.
is back when we used to converse.
This is pre-Florida Georgia Line Vrabel singing up there.
with. Ooh, that's a long time ago. So should the Titans, real quick, I'm all in on more as close to the Oilers unis as possible.
I agree. I think I've said this before. I know people get mad when I say it. I think right now they have the worst uniforms in the league. I hate the redesign that they did with the most recent uniforms.
Well, that was one thing that Moon seemed to indicate. I mean, it was confusing what he indicated, but he said like that Cam Ward would be wearing this jersey. They're not going to be wearing the Oilers throwbacks anymore.
Yeah.
And so that put him at ease a little bit that he's not going to be wearing the same uniform. But my kind of feel out of that was they're not going to be wearing the Oilers uniform because when the Titans got around to doing new uniforms, they would be Oiler-esque. And in being Oiler-esque, they wouldn't need to pull the Oilers uniforms off the shelves.
Look, they're not going to do an exact replica of the Oilers uniform. I understand that, but leaning more into that color scheme, cool with it, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah,
more light blue and a red accent in there. I think
all for it.
Almost everybody likes that concept.
I mean, the white pants, white jersey Oilers look, but any of the Oilers looks,
it's
frankly,
really good.
Yeah.
And they went that direction this year, right? They didn't wear dark blue.
Yeah, they went light blue and white pants, I think, like every home game. So,
which is good.
That's fine.
And she picks that. She picks the uniform combination.
Is that Jimmy Wyatt? I thought Jimmy Wyatt
doing the
picks
Bridges
it. He's
report.
got the Bridges report. I just assumed Jimmy makes a
He
choice.
reveals it. He does not choose it.
That means Vrabel. I think Vrabel took a shot at Amy Adams Strunk earlier this week.
What
Somebody was asking about the uniforms up there. Like, I guess the Patriots are wearing
white. The Patriots are wearing white, even though they have the choice because they're 9-0 in those uniforms.
But he said in his answer, he's like, I had to deal with the uniform police in Tennessee. It's like, geez, I guess he's talking about.
Really?
I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that. I just heard him saying he's leaving Kuharsky 6. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's leaving what?
Oh, you didn't hear? No. We'll play the clip for you.
PK, I do want to get your thoughts on this. It's a discussion we had earlier this week. As you know, who's available via free agency here on February the 4th and who ends up actually being available by the time free agency comes around, two very different things. George Pickens, we had a lot of people ask about him. He's 25 years old.
He's trouble.
93 catches, 1,429 yards, 9 touchdowns. As you said, he has been trouble in the league. So, on the one hand, he's 25 years old, and that type of production that I just listed off, it doesn't make it to free agency very often. On the other hand, already had some problems very early in his career. So, if you're the Titans, how do you weigh those two things? How much interest are you having in George Pickens if he makes it? None. Zero.
None. I mean, if you're getting rid of Jarvis Brownlee because he was a little bit of a problem culturally.
Different coaching staff.
If you've got questions about Tavondre Sweat culturally, well, the GM is setting the culture in hand with Robert Saleh and his coaching staff. I just don't think George Pickens is the kind of guy after you have an established culture and an established roster that you say, hey, can we handle this guy? And you have a meeting about it. And if you decide you can, you bring him on. But as you're building and setting a culture, first off, I think Dallas is going to sign him before he gets to free agency.
I think so.
And that's going to be dealt with. But I just don't think, I think he's the kind of guy that, had a spectacular season, very good player. C.O. Bricado told me this, and it's a scouting bromide that I use all the time. Money turns you into more of what you are. I don't want more of what he is.
So what?
Necessarily.
I mean, I don't disagree with what you said. I mean, he was in an established culture in Pittsburgh. They're like, yeah, go ahead and move on from that. But
it is 93 catches for 1,429 yards.
Well, the talent's
very talented.
Talent's undeniable. But
Risky
if
talent.
the Cowboys are re-signing him, is it possible he's matured?
Yes. Also, do the Cowboys care about this sort of thing traditionally? Like compared to Pittsburgh? No, Pittsburgh, the team that cares about it maybe the most, sent him to Dallas, the team that cares about it maybe the least.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You may have a point.
93 catches for almost 1,500 yards. They don't grow on trees in free agency every year, man.
Give me Alec Pierce.
What about Romeo Doubs?
Well, Romeo Doubs to me is the alternative to Alec Pierce. And Jawan Jennings maybe after that. That would be my pecking order without having the list in front of me. But Alec Pierce, I think, is a better talent than Romeo Dobbs.
I would agree.
Faster for sure.
No doubt. 615-737-1025, our phone number. One more segment with PK coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Final segment of the day. Paul Kuharsky with us from paulkuharsky.com. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Vrabel in the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, PK. What do you make of the matchup between the Patriots and the Seahawks?
Seahawks more talented. Vrabel really good with 2 weeks of prep, as we saw firsthand a lot. McDonald, very good coach, but second year. I'd give the coaching edge to New England. May hasn't played well in the playoffs, but they've played against really good factor. Now, you can downgrade the teams they've played, but playing good defense is playing good defense against the teams that you see. I think I expect it to be a close game. Does Darnold make a big mistake? Quarterbacking wise, who makes fewer mistakes? Lower scoring. And I'm not going to count Vrabel out. I think Seattle is fairly favored here. But I haven't really settled on what I think is going to happen. I need to read a little bit more.
If Mike Vrabel wins this Super Bowl, we've talked some today, PK, obviously about Titans fans and the rooting interest and all that, but from your perspective as a Hall of Fame voter, Hall of Fame voting going really well lately, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys are doing a great job. Vrabel,
some of us better than others. I'll say
Vrabel would have obviously that. He would have an NFL Coach of the Year in his past here. I guess he could get it this year too. But between that and a playing career because I was thinking about this, PK, like at the Tennessee, and I remember I wrote something about like Vrabel's not quite a Hall of Famer. He's probably a Patriots Hall of Famer. He's not an NFL Hall of Famer. But what if he has a great coaching career? So as a voter, do you tie all that together? Let's say he wins this one Super Bowl and then it fades out from there, and it's not like some big dynasty. Because obviously, if they go on and just crush, then he's a shoo-in, right? Let's say Mike Vrabel, you have to vote on him Monday after he gets in the Super Bowl Sunday. Is he a Pro Football Hall of Famer?
I would say no, but if he went on to win a second Super Bowl on his coaching resume, I mean, 2 Super Bowl winning head coaches are generally on the yes side.
So the one with a good coaching career, but not amazing, but with his playing career, do you combine them or no?
Well, I mean, I would have a hard time not combining them, but he would be in one category or another. So I don't know what the Hall of Fame would tell us about how to consider it, but I would be unable to separate the two. And
so not like some hard guideline where you can't think of it that way.
If they offered one, I would have a hard time obeying it. I mean, how could they say he's nominated here as a coach, so only consider him as a coach? And how could we then not consider a playing career on top of that? It's for pro football. So he would have qualifications in both categories and certainly an enhanced resume with that regard.
How many times that happened where you've had to consider both, like a coaching career and a playing career?
I can't think of one.
I don't think in my 11 years there's been anybody that we've considered in that regard.
Because players who are successful in the NFL, especially now, make so much money, they're not going to go into coaching.
Yeah.
They're just going to TV.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Or whatever.
So does Brady get in the Hall of Fame for the quarterbacking part or because he's a good broadcaster?
Yeah. Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
Our failures this year have led to people like Stephen A. popping off like this is going to happen to Tom Brady now. No, it's not. Tom Brady is on the modern era player side. And when Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald get in tomorrow night, there's not going to be any scandal connected to that. The problem isn't on the modern era side, though it's become more difficult there with the intention of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's policy and method. But the problem right now is a coach and a contributor going against seniors and how few you can vote for. And I think it's terrible that people haven't seen fit to delineate Belichick and Kraft, but it's a process failure as well. There's no process change where the very best guys on the modern era side are not getting it.
So Robby and I do have a bet though, which is that I think somebody, it might just be one person, will still make Brady wait a year because of the Deflategate.
Well,
he's unanimous.
One person can't make him wait a year, and we never.
No. I'm not saying make him wait a year, but I'm saying one person will vote that way.
Well,
it won't be unanimously voted.
Yeah, but we don't know if it's unanimous or not.
That's never reported. It never comes out after somebody's unanimous or not.
So
Hall of Fame knows, and Ernst and Young or whoever the accountant is at that time will know, but nobody else knows.
We need to go ask him.
Very disappointing.
Tell him we won't report it, but we just need to know.
Yeah, we just need it for our purposes.
I don't know. We don't know. I don't know anything about vote total.
Do you think that any voters will look at him and be like, the cheating doesn't mean anything?
I think there's one person to whom it is very important.
Tic Tac Titans? See a voter?
I don't know if they'd let Tic Tac Titans in the Hall of Fame as a ticket buy. And I don't have a lot of sway there, but I would send them a picture and say this guy is so not qualified to be near here.
He's banned.
I think the Canton police should not
be allowed to even discuss football. Discuss football or be associated with football in any way.
On a do not serve list at a bar somewhere, like
like how you used to have pictures of Ted Kaczynski, now replaced with this guy.
By the way, Joe, I guess we should
get to
some. Joey Aguilar has been granted a temporary restraining order against NCAA eligibility rules by a Knoxville judge.
Is this exciting?
So it does. I think it's a 15-day order, so it's a very short-term measure. But I wonder what
a glorious 15 days.
So he gets to
he's gonna go to
lift. He gets to lift for 2 weeks.
Is he getting any NIL cut into that for 15
Joe,
days?
you should go do a story on that. Watch him lift for these 15 days.
Yeah,
do a journal with them.
But as Sparks, Adam Sparks says, a first step toward a potential return in 2026. So we'll see.
Do you want him?
Interesting.
Joe, you're a Vols fan. Do you want him?
GB Joe says, yes. I think that Tennessee fans should want Aguilar back. Robbie's not sure.
Based on where their quarterback room is right now, I wouldn't hate it.
I guess you're more, you just don't like
I don't like the fact that this is what college football is now. It's like, well, everybody just sues for everything now. Cool.
Yeah.
Eligibility.
And wins, pretty much.
Pretty much.
The NCAA has done a really great job.
PK, great stuff as always.
I don't have a strong feeling on the UT quarterback situation. Please stop asking. Don't block the box. Be sure to lock your locks.
That's going to do it for us today on the program. We made it through the rest of the hour. Rexrode didn't spill anything else.
Still very sticky over here.
PK eventually remembered what he was going to write down.
I did. I've got it written down. Look.
He's ready to go.
On my coffee-soaked paper, I wrote it down.
Got everything figured out there.
So beautiful.
Hope everybody has a wonderful
shout out Tic Tac Titans
rest of the day. Preds with a big one tonight against the Wild. Pregame at 6 o'clock here on 102.5 The Game. Puck drop at 7. Next man up coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.